Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Gaming After Dark podcast. I am your host, Mr. Boom Boom Kaboom. It's Noof Nukem in the room, and on standby with me is my two amazing co-hosts, the always incredible, always charismatic, and always loud and proud, Titan Drago. What's up, brother?
What's up, everyone? What a great day. I got to tell you guys, man, I'm feeling exalted right now. I'm on vacation, spending time with... I'm with the family, playing games every day. New console generation, killing it. Got my gaming podcast to talk about everything going on with an amazing panel, a fantastic chat. Loving life, and I hope you all feel the same, man.
Good. Well, I can tell he's ready to go, and I know the mag is always fired up and has plenty to say. Yes, he is the man. We know is the mag. So what has happened to middle-aged game guy?
Yes, good evening, Noof. Good evening, Chad. Good evening, Titan Drago. Yes, I am the middle-aged game guy, better known as the mag, and we are excited to be here tonight. We got a great show. We got a lot of great topics, got a lot of great things to discuss, and I got a couple personal things I want to get out there. I finally got a hold. I'm sure some of you guys saw on Twitter today. Yesterday, I finally got a hold of a PlayStation 5 digital edition. So it is now, yes, it is in the house. I've been running it all day. And I even after primetime gaming last night, I spent the rest of the night setting it up and everything else, took some pictures. Yeah. And man, I got to bend the knee, folks. The PS5 is one hell of a fucking console. Let me tell you that much. It is one hell of a console. It is an amazing piece of work. So anyways, that's all for me. So let's get right into the show.
Okay, so in other words, no jet engines and no fire extinguishers on standby.
This thing is as quiet as a mouse fart.
Well, the jet engine thing mostly comes from the disk drive, right?
I've heard that the disc versions of the PS5 are the ones having all the most of the problems.
Right.
And the digital editions, they were only having issues on the software side of things. Right. So it was just like there was some game breaking bugs and stuff like that, which have been ironed out apparently in the last week. And I've been playing. I played what the hell is that game of the fucking robot? I always forget. Astro's Playroom. Halfway through Astro's Playroom, I've been playing Miles Morales. By the way, God of War on the PS5 looked like it just came out yesterday. It is stunning. It might actually be the best looking game I've seen so far next gen. I'm not even kidding.
What game?
God of War.
Oh, okay.
It is unbelievable. So anyways, I've been running through all those games. Fingers crossed. There have been no bugs, no issues, no performance problems. And the thing, you can't even hear it turn on. And you can't even hear it running. And I stick my stupid face right next to it, just like I do with the Series X, just to hear what's going on. And both of them are absolutely whisper quiet. So nice. I am super grateful for that because I paid a pretty penny for it. But
good.
Anyway,
but she is a big bitch, right?
Oh, fuck, is she ever big? Actually, if you go on my Twitter, I posted a picture of the two of them next to each other. I don't have them next to each other. I have the PS5 on the left side, and I have the Series X on the right side of my TVs, and I have two little side tables. So they're completely separate in separate plugs, the whole 9 yards. And but anyways, before I did that, I set them up next to each other. I swear to God, that PS5 has got at least 7. It's gonna sound funny no matter which way it comes out of my mouth. It's at least 7 inches longer than the fucking Series X. Sorry, I couldn't say that. I couldn't say that without sounding like what. It was like me versus John Holmes. It's an extra 7 inches. What am I supposed to do?
I was going to say, it's probably the console business is probably the very only one out there where size, the smaller is usually the one that's more bragged about. It's probably the only one ever.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys. Any of you
mine's smaller than yours.
Any of you guys suffering with small penis syndrome, tell your woman that, hey, my nickname for my penis is, like the PlayStation 2 Mini or whatever.
My penis was a console. You would love it.
Yeah,
speaking of penis,
it's really quick and it's really quiet.
Well, speaking of penis, both of my consoles stand erect, so I do not lie them on their sides. They just freak me out when I see people with pictures like shoving them into these like shoebox size like cabinets, and they're like, and then they post it on Facebook. They're like, "Do you think this is going to be okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. If you want a fucking house fire, but yeah, okay, yeah, no problem. Just shove it in that shoebox." Actually, even Mooch. Do you see Mooch's setup? Fucking guy stressed me. Oh my God, guy stressed me right out. He's got it like shoved in the sideway. He goes, it actually has more room than it looks like. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, you just made my blood pressure go up looking at that. I'm like, get that fucking thing out of there. So, anyways, I got them both standing up on separate tables. So there's no fucking around. And the kids are not like within 10 feet are not allowed to come within either one. Because you know it's going to take. One of their little paws is going to fucking swipe that PS5 and then clunk. Yeah. And then down comes the fucking tower.
Down she comes, man. Just like oh man,
boy. Dreadpool.
Yeah, Dreadpool's here. Speaking of, we'll get to him in just a second. My wife came downstairs the other day. It was funny because she hadn't been downstairs much recently, and she's like, "Where's your new console?" My Series X. I said, "It's over there, babe." She looks over. She goes, "Where?" She goes, "I see." Where? I said, on top of the subwoofer. She goes, Jesus, I thought it was a subwoofer. I said, no, because actually I have it on top of my LG subwoofer, and the machine is not that much smaller than that fucking subwoofer. Like, it's actually kind of hilarious. It almost looks like a subwoofer. But anyway, yeah, mine is erect as well. So that means this episode has been brought to you by Viagra, where all of our consoles stand erect. There you go, guys. One in the chat if you're an erect console person, and number 2 if you like it flat on your back. Now speaking of guests, and I have an apology to make first and foremost. I asked Gaming Forte to be on the podcast tonight. He has got something else come up, so he may or may not be here. I did leave him the link. He might be jumping in later. But Dreadpool, I actually had scheduled to come on the podcast a couple weeks back, and I just totally forgot about it. And I do apologize to him for that. I forgot that is the 24th, and that will be this week. So, Dread, welcome to the podcast. Glad you could make it, and I do apologize about forgetting you in the loop, bro.
Oh, that's all right. I'm forgettable. That's how I see how it is. By the way, I'm not that forgettable because my Series X has girth.
Well, you know.
Joe Dunmore said in the chat, he said it's handheld too.
So what's going on, guys? You know, it's great to be here. You know,
glad to have you, brother. Glad to have you. Hope you got a little bit of energy left for tonight.
Oh yeah.
We got some fire topics. We're going to start off with one about these these games that are coming out, you know, these fancy games that come out with all the Xbox One marketing ploys and then end up running and looking worse than the PlayStation counterparts. We saw this with the One X. It's continuing to happen with the Series X. Yes, I've heard the stories all about the patches that are coming, blah, 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 and I get it, but should this shit still be happening? I think not, but we're going to get into it. Let's just give the chat an acknowledgement first, and we'll move this show right along. Timothy Dixon was the first in the house. What is happening, Timothy? Phantom Kraken is here hanging out with us once again. We got Spider-Man 356, one of Mr. Reliable himself. Casket Repair is here. We got Joe Dunmore is hanging out with Cyber Gunders in the house. What's happening? Doggy Dog is here. And Doggy, yes, we're going to get you on this podcast soon. All that stuff. Cross your fingers, guys, tonight. I don't have any audio issues like I did last week. Shizno Elite is in the house. Jesse Darby, or Jesse Gums Darby, as we call him now. Boom, what's happening? Who else we got going on here, boys? It's your boy, Matty P. What's happening, Matty P? Princess Zelda's hanging out with us. Scrolling on down. Axel 1324 is here with us. Good stuff. We got some new faces looking good, guys. Cyber Gunner, Free Jack, my buddy Free Jack is here. What's happening, Free Jack? Glad you could be here. And there we go. I think we've caught up with everybody. Hope we got your shout outs, and let's get into the topics. So I just mentioned the topic right off the top, guys. How do you feel about it? We'll start with Titan on this one. Titan, are you just getting a little bit annoyed? Is it a bad look for Xbox? And why does this stuff, do you think, continue to happen?
I'll tell you what, it's a bad look for people trying to shine the limelight on this, okay? I tweeted about this week, and Chris Gunnell, if you guys don't follow him, I don't follow him, but I think I will because he seems like a good dude. I'll probably do that after the show, actually. But he tweeted about how the game isn't running properly, right? Because we all know, we've all seen the picture comparisons of the PlayStation headlight. Yes, we're talking about a goddamn headlight zoomed in at 200% or whatever. The PlayStation version looks crisp, clean, looks pretty. The Series X version looks like, what did you call it? Like a hexagon or an octagon shape. Looks like
It look like a couple of lug nuts stuck in the
It
front
does.
of
It
the
looks
car.
like lug nuts on the bottom of my sink faucet.
exactly. Perfect. All right. So it looks like a lug nut on the Series X, but this is a software issue. Okay, that has been confirmed now. This is not a hardware issue. Now, just like with the Scorpio, and Noof touched on it, it did not always 100% have the best version. But just because it should doesn't mean it will, right?
Yeah.
This is first and foremost, this is all up to the developers, okay? Yeah, you could throw out the best piece of hardware out there in the world, but if the developers don't take advantage of those assets, then it's not going to get used up. They can only, the potential is there. If they don't use it, that's on them. And so, but most of them will take the extra time and effort to improve the Series X version because, they want their game to look the best of all. But second of all, just because one or two games here and there are slightly better on the PS5 does not give you damn ponies a W, okay? Because guess what? The other 90% of games are still running better on the Series X. Okay. It's so pathetic that they point out every single instance. Oh, this game, and how many times have we seen this? Probably like 5 times on Twitter. This is probably like the 5th time or so. And this is going back to the Scorpio edition where all those games were better than the PS4 Pro. But now we're seeing again, it's just like rinse and repeat. So obviously, this is what Chris Gunnell said. He said this could be patched. So just like I said this will be patched. And then, you're not going to have legs to stand on, everyone that made this a narrative, because this is how pathetic people are. They see one little thing, a hexagonal headlight. They see a hexagonal headlight and they make it on this big thing. Oh my God, the PlayStation 5 is running it so much better than the Series X. What's going on? Like, I'm so tired of this. Like, you people are fucking pathetic when you're pointing out headlights as a game running better on your console. Well, guess what? We don't have goddamn melting consoles. We don't have artifacts. We don't have all the... I could go up. There's a list of 10 goddamn different things. Okay? That's a W to me. My games are fucking working. Like right now, Mag got his digital PS5, and I'm praying to God for him right now. It doesn't melt. Okay? Next, go.
We are omitting the rest of the topics tonight. Titan's going to go on a rant. So here we go.
Kind of came out of nowhere. I'm just
going to jump because I don't really have a lot to say on it because I'm like, again, these are topics that get blown way out of proportion. All I do know is that, look, resolution is one thing. It's one thing to be a little bit lower in the resolution because most of the time the average person doesn't really notice that anyway. Have a couple of frame rate drops here and there. Like, whoop-de-doo. If it's a major disparity in frame rate drops, so through a whole game, or one game is running at like 32 and it barely gets to 35, and the other game is hitting pretty well plateaued at 60, I get it. But something like this is like, it's software based, it's graphical assets for whatever reason don't seem to be loading into the game properly. It looks basic. I mean, looking at that screenshot, I know it's captured. It kind of reminds me of the whole Craig thing. Like, who the fuck's really taking time anyway to do these zooms to go like 200% and look at something? But regardless, it still shouldn't be happening, especially in games that these guys pay money to promote, and it's sort of a bit of a showcase for your consoles. So I think it's unfortunate. The biggest part of it's unfortunate because it looks bad on the dev, and also it looks bad on the company that's promoting it. Like I said, because the fanboys take this stuff and they run a complete narrative like, ha ha ha, look at your most powerful console. It looks terrible, but looking,
and that's
like
what rubs me the wrong way. That's what makes me go on a rant. Sorry.
Yeah, no, like Free Jack, Digital Foundry, week after week, always seem to find it. And it's funny because so many people are like, Digital Foundry is paid off by Microsoft to say good things about them all the time. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think my history with Digital Foundry, more often than not, they always seem to try to find any knock they can on the Xbox until eventually, when they can't knock it, they're kind of like, well, I guess we have to concede it's finally better. But yes, kudos to Microsoft. It's a little bit better, but I'm trying to imitate sort of the way those guys talk. Looks a little bit better on the Xbox. Gotta say, But most of the time, they seem to knock them. But anyway, I just think it's sad. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're playing the game and it's fun and it works well, I mean, nobody's fucking sitting down staring at the headlight for 2.5 hours. Like, oh, look, I don't see raindrops on the window. But you know what? In all fairness, Xbox guys do the same shit too when it comes to Sony. And I mean, we all saw the fucking Puddlegate bullshit for Spider-Man. So, we can't say there isn't people on both sides of the fence that run the same bullshit. But I know the Sony crowd in particular, the Sony fanboy crowd in particular, they're just waiting for Xbox to drop the ball every little step.
Right.
They love to rub it in, and it's so sad to see. But I can't wait till, like I said, these dev kits are out for a longer period of time, and these devs do start pushing the envelope, because I definitely think we're going to see that disparity gap. It's really going to start to pull apart, in my opinion.
One more thing.
Go ahead, man.
The funny thing is about this is that's on a headlight. You play from, you're looking at the rear of a car. So they actually had to stop the gameplay, turn the camera around, and point this out. You don't see this during gameplay. I'm sorry. A lot of these things, right? I think the developers just cutting corners on this from here and there. And especially when the PlayStation 5, if their first party ever take advantage of that, of the streaming in assets kind of thing, where they're only streaming in the field of view, right? So only what you see are the assets that they're streaming in. They've talked about this before on tech breakdowns, right? So everything behind you is simply not rendered, and that's to save on power on the system. It's to save, work on the system. Mm-hmm. So this is essentially just another example of that, as well as not loading properly. And I think we've all seen that AC Valhalla clip on the PlayStation 5, right? Where things were kind of disappearing as you walked up to them.
Right.
I think that the developer kind of messed up on that maybe a little bit, and they're kind of erasing those assets a little bit before they should. I think that was the issue with that one. So go ahead, let me know what you think about that.
Well, Dr. Harry Ming at VD in the chat, and he has a great point. The problem is Microsoft didn't take the lead on the narrative with the first party games, and they did leave it up to third party to kind of carry the ball here. So they kind of dropped their side of the pool. I mean, we saw the difference in having first-party software out of the Xbox One, and certainly games like Crytek's Rise Son of Rome, which may not have scored that high, but my God, when you got a game that comes out for your console on day one, and it still holds up fucking nearly 10 years after the fact, game still is more impressive than some of the new shit. That's some serious talent of developers, and that's what they're pushing on. Remember, Rise Son of Rome was pushed on a fucking base model Xbox One with a 1.4 teraflop engine, and this is what they're doing. So, man, some of these devs, man, they just got to learn to fucking step it up. They got to get their games going here. Let's head it over to Mag. How about you feel about it, Mag?
Yeah. Well, I got a couple thoughts of it. I actually have more than one person to blame about this. I mean, yes, I know it's a little bit blown out of proportion. There's no question, but at the same time, it's kind of hard. It is. You got to blame the devs somewhat, okay? But with a COVID kind of year that we've been having, and they're all working remotely, it's a little bit more difficult. The other thing is that I think it's already pretty well known at this point that the PS5 dev kits were released way earlier. We're talking 6 months earlier, 7 months even, from what I'm hearing, earlier than the Xbox Series X and S dev kits went out. So what they did is that Microsoft gave them specs, but they didn't give them the exact specs. So they gave them something to work with until they finally had it. And I think they didn't get it till June. So they barely had June, July, August, September, barely 4 months, 5 months, not even, to be able to optimize these games for the Series X and the Series S, right? Whereas the PlayStation, they had been working on it since January, which, by the way, was essentially pre-COVID by 2 months. So imagine those devs were in their offices working. The world didn't clear out of their offices until about March.
Yeah.
Right. So they had 2 months on that, and then they still had another 4 months on top of that to work with the hardware. So they had a little bit more time. Now, this is where you got to blame Microsoft. You got to blame Microsoft too, because when they paid, for example, you look at AC Valhalla, fantastic game, by the way, gorgeous game, amazing to play in 60 frames per second. I can never go back. By the way, I can never go back to another console.
Amen, brother.
You know what I'm saying? Once I got my hands on this PS5 and the Series X, I can never go back to a 1X or a 1S. I gave my 1S to my son, and I can't even look at it. It looks like a car accident, compared to what I'm playing now, right? And he's like, "Daddy, come check this out." And I'm like, "I don't want to. I don't want to see it." Looks like somebody's dancing in a fucking strobe light. It's like I can't look at it. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, the point is Microsoft paid for the marketing rights for those games, right? Like for example, AC Valhalla. Let's take that one for example. You don't think that maybe they should have got somebody to get on top of this shit to make sure it looked absolutely the fucking best on Xbox? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you
totally.
paid the money. Your name, and let me tell you something else. In about a week and a half from now, all of us better pray to whatever God you pray to that Cyberpunk does not look better on the PS5, or there will be fucking hell.
Yeah.
Right.
Because Microsoft has got the marketing rights for Cyberpunk. They've been touting it since fucking last year. They released a Cyberpunk 1X in June and controllers and all that other bullshit. Can you imagine? I swear to God, I'm not going on Twitter for a fucking month if I find out that the PS5 version looks in any which way better than the Series X. I don't even care if it's a fucking cup of coffee sitting on a table and you got the digital, you got the Linneman there going, well, as you can see, the top rim of the cup of coffee looks a little bit blurry on the Series X, and as you can see, the cup of coffee looks a lot clearer on the PS5. Back to you, Craig. And it's like, come on. I don't want to see any of that. So I don't care if Phil Spencer has to fucking fly to Poland himself and it'd be like, guys, I don't give a shit what I got to do. What you got to do, make sure it looks and runs better on the Xbox, because you don't want this narrative carrying forward. We talked about it pre-show. We've talked about it all week about first impressions. And when you're touting all year the most powerful console, and this is what your opening result is, people will not forget that, regardless of the fact of what I had just said earlier about how they got the dev kits late and everything else. People are just going to say, it's just an excuse. You're just damage controlling at this point. Well, we're not. That's a fact. But the thing is, the results are also a fact, when the results are a fact, that's a fucking problem. Excuse me, and that's a bit of a problem. And so what you got to look at those things. So they really got to fix this up, because if it's only for like those 2 or 3 titles that just came out now, but let's say from Cyberpunk and on, which I believe once these devs get a little their hands longer on the Series X, it is going to blow past the PS5, because from what I see, the PS5 is punching above its weight, right? It's like huffing and puffing to try and keep up.
It's like the equivalent of a baseball team going out and hiring a big home run hitter, right? Because last year you hit like 50 home runs in a span of whatever, and then you get him for your team. You pay him extra money, sign him a big contract, and the dude's having trouble hitting the fucking ball past second base.
Yeah,
right. I mean, it's kind of the same fucking deal, and we see that in sports. I mean, this is kind of the same with the console, or having a race car that clearly does, 40 kilometers faster than your nearest competitor, but every time you put the driver in the car, he keeps finishing like fucking, third or fourth place. You're like, something don't add up here.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if it's because they start developing first on PlayStation 5. Maybe they're more used to the assets, and they're more, because that's usually the primary version. And
I've got an answer for that, Noof. Here's your answer for that, and it's all the RDNA 2 assets that could come into play for the Xbox Series X.
Yes.
PlayStation does not have those, so the developers are going to need a little bit more time to work with those assets, learn how to use them, and learn how to use them to their potential before we start to see the advantage of that. But also, real quick, did you guys see? Only in, I think it was NVIDIA cards will have ray tracing at launch for this game, right? Did you guys see that? And
I didn't see that.
You're talking about for Cyberpunk,
for Cyberpunk,
right?
yes. Yeah. So the ray tracing will not be available at launch for Xbox. That's going to have to come in at a patch.
They did say that, though. They said that earlier in the fall. That they said that the next gen assets are going to be coming after the fact. They said it could be anywhere between 3 and 6 months later. They did openly say that. So I'm
I wonder if that. I don't know. Maybe they did a little bit more work. Well, they said the NVIDIA cards, because this is strictly about NVIDIA cards. They're the only ones that are going to have ray tracing at launch, because they said they've worked with NVIDIA longer. NVIDIA has had ray tracing for, they have a good baseline. They've been doing it for years on end. And, who does Xbox use? It's not NVIDIA. It's freaking AMD. Thank you. AMD this is brand new with their 2.0 architecture. So
they literally just released last month or this month.
Right.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, at least it's coming. Dread, give us your take on it, man. You getting a little tired of the whole narrative that it's painted by people dropping the ball, or how do you see it? Maybe you see it differently. Maybe, you side a bit more with the developers. I mean, obviously we're in an unprecedented time of COVID as well. And we've heard various developers say, straight from the horse's mouth that it's been very, very difficult this year in every aspect, financially, marketing, because you don't have your teams together. It's tougher to see the products. The support groups aren't there. You don't have teams working closely together, and everything's disjointed. And I think that does play a large part in why we're seeing a lot of games either get delayed or kind of being a little bit more broken than we're used to. What do you think?
I want to know who's the first dumbass to walk out front of a race car to get hit, to be able to say, hey, look, I could see that headlights. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's literally, seriously, you're behind the steering wheel. You know what I mean? You're over the hood. You're behind the car. You're not looking at that. Why nitpick something like that? Okay. Now here's the other thing. Digital Foundry even admitted that the game was wonky and the game wasn't running right. So they're going back to fix it. So yet again, why is everybody relying on just Digital Foundry? They should not be the end all be all. You're relying on somebody, and they're human just like we are. They have opinions. They make mistakes. And for this to be a big deal is so silly. You know what I mean? Just play the damn game. It's like when Halo Infinite was first shown, I wasn't looking at all the pop-ups or how far out the mountain was. You know what I mean? In real life, those that live near mountains, and obviously my mountains are like a speed bump to you guys. But when you're looking at those mountains, that distance, all the air, the pollution, whatever else is in between with the weather, you know what I mean? All that stuff, you're not seeing the fine details that you would see in a game like this, and they're nitpicking that. Okay. So back again to this, they're nitpicking stuff that you don't see. Why are we having these issues? Just play the damn game.
Because they need a W that bad.
Right. But why do we need a W? You know what I mean?
We don't.
Well, we don't. But yet again, it's like why does it have to be a winner and a loser? Just enjoy the game. That's where the winning is, right?
Well, this is the
enjoying the game
part. People base their whole lives on getting these W's in goddamn video games anywhere they can.
Because they're losing in life. That's why. Okay. That's plain and simple. That's why.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't think any of us see the average, say, rally car fan going into the local Walmart and staring at the games going, hey, Mom, I'm just going to buy Dirt 5 on the PlayStation 5 because apparently the headlights look fucked up on the Xbox, so I won't spend the money. Like, the average fan never says that. That's, like I said, this is those internet things. They make a story of it. It should be something small and minute. Of course, I guess I'm part of the problem. I mean, we're bringing this up as a topic and we're kind of blowing it up too. So I guess we're all part of that conglomerate. So
yeah, but in reality, let's backtrack this. Okay, how hot of a title has the Dirt series been? All right, I'm not trying to downplay. Okay,
exactly.
But let's put this in perspective. I mean, I've played the rally games, Sega Rally. So I've played some of these games. Why? Because I got an opportunity to play it. Right. So of course I'm playing it. Now, did I ever finish a level? I think I finished 1 or 2 races. That's it. You know what I mean? Some of them are so technical that I lost interest because I just couldn't beat the game. I couldn't even win. I couldn't even win at losing. You know what I mean? So now, why is it such a hot topic?
Who the fucking 5 years from now is gonna be like, hey, remember Dirt 5 when it had legit headlights and Xbox did like who?
That's why Xbox has to smash that right now, starting from Cyberpunk and on.
Right.
So that it'll never be brought up again. Nobody will even remember this.
My thing is, time is going to smash that narrative. Like, no one gives a fuck about this.
But if you consistently do it, it will be remembered. That's what I'm getting at.
Clowns, in my opinion.
Why are you playing an Xbox?
Oh, no, absolutely not. But the thing is, the problem is the game that what's happening is that it's being synonymous with Xbox,
right?
Because it's on the Xbox
I agree
system.
with you there. I agree with you there. But there are people that are blaming Xbox, saying that the console can't do this, and it's like, okay, well, it's not the console that it can't do it. It's just the fact that it was a flaw in the programming. It was an oversight by the dev. You know what I mean?
And you're speaking with a little too much common sense for the other side right now, Dredd. Let me tell you.
It's because I'm from the Generation X, where we still had a little bit of common sense left.
Yeah.
Well, look back into generations,
Well, you know what they say: the dev makes the game, Xbox takes the blame.
Exactly. You know what? Microsoft is going to take arrows for this.
But that's the other thing, though, is like, where's Microsoft's game? Where's the Xbox game that's going to show off a racer? You know what I mean? Are we going to go back to Forza 7?
Well,
you know
dude,
what I mean?
I don't know the rest of you guys, but I'm I'm floored that there was no Forza 8 to launch aside this console this year. I was shocked because they didn't even make a Forza game last year. Remember, they took the extra year. So this is actually what by the time we get
it's supposed to be released.
Technically speaking, because they were releasing every second year, and this will be when the time it comes out now. Be what 3 years since Forza 7?
This would have been the third year. Yes,
guys, let me tell you, it's podcasts like this and like RDX that need to blow up and get bigger because there's a lot more crazy PlayStation fans out there that are just out to push a narrative, and they're trying to push misinformation onto people so that they can get a pathetic W in their life because they're failing at life, just like you said, Dredd, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a lot of these corporate podcasts get a lot of views, and they also misinform everybody. That's the problem. They're the ones that are supposed to make sure that they keep everybody in line. You know what I mean? And they're not.
Dredd, I gotta piggyback off what you just said. I just saw an article today that I almost smashed my fucking phone, and it was on IGN, and the article said, I swear to God, it said whatever. It was something about something PlayStation 5, and it was one of those like little 5-minute video wrap-up things that they do on the daily fix or something. And the headline was, and you'll regret buying a Series X or S. And I'm going, what the actual fuck? So I clicked on it. And do you know what it was? Do you know what the news article was?
I do not.
This is the age. Dave Chappelle said this the best. He said it last year. He says, y'all live in the age of spin. He goes, you don't even live in a world where they show you exactly what's happening. I mean, we've always been sort of lied to about stuff, but now it's worse than ever because of social media. So that was the headline, okay? Hear that out. You'll regret buying a Series X or S. Then when I actually heard the story, which was, of course, 4 minutes into the video, you know what it was about? It was about how Phil Spencer said that he wants to have GamePass as an app on smart TVs, just like Netflix and Disney Plus or whatever, so you don't even need a console. So they took a positive and they negative. You see what I'm saying? They had a positive situation that could help millions of families who don't have the means to buy what we buy, or to be part of the ecosystem that we're a part of because they can't afford it, especially this year and going forward as people lose their jobs and businesses all over the world. They took a positive and put, you'll regret buying a Series X or S. I swear to Christ on high that if I could get on a plane right now, I would fly down to IGN and slap the shit out of them and say, why do you guys put these kind of headlines on something like that?
Because 90%, because 90% of the people are just reading the goddamn headlines.
Wow. So that was the Ignorant Gaming Network.
Yep, it was on the IGN Daily Fix tonight, and I saw it around 6 p.m. when I was having dinner. I'm not even kidding. And I was so beside myself, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, that's your headline? But then when you finally get to the story, it was it was a positive. It was about how Phil Spencer wants to put them on smart TVs so you don't even have to buy an Xbox and you will still get the same quality without any console.
Well, that's not true either.
A few years ago, Well, where's the Xbox article this year from the journalists? Remember a few years ago, somebody wrote a big article from one of the big video game journalists when PlayStation was a little bit short on games, and their article was PlayStation doesn't have many games at launch or something coming out this year, but here's why it's genius. Remember that fucking bullshit?
Yeah. I remember
where's
that.
the Xbox one? Because Xbox Series X and all the reviews so far, people are loving the console, but they're slamming it because, well, the launch lineup, right? It's a little bit on the pale side. So it's like, so where is the Xbox article that says, yeah, Xbox doesn't have games this year, but here's why it's genius.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the other thing, I talked to somebody about this a couple days ago. They're saying, well, you got nothing to play. And I'm like, does someone who just built their PC got nothing to play because they don't have PC exclusives?
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, they're playing third-party games that everybody else is playing. I go, what are you playing? I'm playing AC Valhalla, Watch Dogs. I'm playing fucking Doom Eternal. Yeah. I'm going to be playing Cyberpunk. Like, how about
the 3090 exclusive?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the fuck? Like, where you know what I'm saying? Even though I have 1 terabyte SSD, well, only about 800 and something gigs, 3/4 of it's already gone. Yeah. Okay, so what games am I not playing? And those games are all new. And, oh, yeah, the other one was Destiny 2. I couldn't remember the other one. Yeah, and they're all there. And a couple of GamePass games I threw in there. And, like, come on, man. Like, I got enough to cover me till 2021. I mean, till fall 2021. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy.
As far as the same quality thing goes, that's all right. Same quality streaming as you will on an Xbox Series X. That's like saying you're going to get the same quality from Wi-Fi as you will from hardwiring to your router. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Like these, and they actually said this in that article that it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
And anyway, let's move on from this topic. It is what it is. We're kind of getting used to it by now, even why we even spend this much time talking. I guess it's because, it rattles a nerve, and that in itself, it means a lot of clicks for some of these places. So that in itself is part of the reason they do it. They know that, like I said, we know the way this media works is they get more clicks for the shit, like for the negative articles than they do for the positive ones. So I think that's just the way it is, and that's the way it's going to go as long as it keeps bringing in revenue, right? I mean, you look at any negative Xbox article on some of these sites, and they're getting far more hits than, say, a positive one ever would. So that's how you make the revenue, man. So it is what it is. Let's catch up with the chat. Yo.
Real quick before you catch up with the chat, you saw, did you guys, any of you guys catch, like while the election was going on, a lot of Twitter was blocking a lot of misinformation. They got to start doing that to these they got to start doing it to YouTubers. We got to start doing it to these clickbait articles. They got to start flagging people for misinformation, and like, we got to get rid of it because this is getting ridiculous. Like you said, we're living in the age of spin. Why? If we could do something about it, let's shut these misinformation factories down, man. Go ahead.
I've heard guys on various podcasts completely say stuff that's like, I don't even know where they come up with it. It's even beyond misinterpreted information. It's like making up information. Like one dude on one podcast saying PlayStation 5 had RDNA 3 and everything else in it, and it's like, where do you read this fucking shit? Because
he's got 3 of them stacked together. That's
and nobody on your podcast even saying, dude, no, dude, that's actually not correct. You just kind of let them spiel the beans, right? So
yeah, these motherfuckers got some wild imaginations. Sorry.
All right, well, let's use our wild imagination. Catch up with the chat real quick because we got Try Hard Fan hanging out with us. What's up, brother? How you doing? Jesse Gums Darby is here with us. Free Jack's hanging out. Timothy Dixon, Born Distracted is here. We got Custods X is in the house. What's going on? We got War in the room. Yeah, shit's lit down. War is here. We got Dr. Harry Ming. What's going on, Harry? Phantom Crack is still hanging out with us here. Stu Drinks Echo Fall. Shiz No Elite. Animate Heavens here with us. Infinite is in the house. What's going on, Infinite? We've got Doggy Dog 420 has been here hanging out with us. By the way, I think I'm going to get Doggy Dog on our podcast next week. We're going to try to book him in. Let's see here. Sean Carpenter is here. I think he's listening in his car at work. So what's up, Sean? Glad you could be here. We got Jose F. What's going on, Jose? We got Dr. Dinglenut. Oh, I couldn't wait for Dr. Dinglenut.
Love that name.
Dr. Dinglenut never gets old. I think there's another good one in the chat here, too. We got Rick Payne, I think, making his first appearance in the chat. What's up, Rick Payne? Matty P. Marlesco. Psychonauts is here. I know there was one other funny name in here. I saw it earlier. Let's see. Red Raven is here. Scrolling down. There you go. Dr. Kinks. Kind of like that. Dr. Kinks. What's that, man?
A lot of doctors in here tonight.
I know. Cerebral Paul is here. SpongeBob is here. All we need is Patrick.
SpongeBob is here.
This is a house of learned doctors.
I was going to say, I hope we're not doing the prostate training.
Oh, yes, we are, Dread.
Fuck.
Yes.
Glad the camera's off.
All right, who's had a prostate? 1 in the chat, 2 for no.
Man, come on, man. I'm 45. I've had 6 of them already. Where the fuck are you going? The only thing is that whenever they push it in, both of his hands are on my shoulders. I don't know what that's all about.
Let's get this topic out of the way real quick because this will not take long. It takes about as much effort to talk about this topic as it did Microsoft to come up with it. Games with gold. Oh boy, it's another.
It's okay. Keep laughing. He just said games with gold.
Oh, God.
Keep on laughing. Games of gold. Another sad sack of shit again this month. This is December. This is December. It should be a sad. It should be a happy sack of amazing games, or at least one in there that really gets your boner meter going. But here's what we got. We got Raven, the Raven. We got Bleed 2. Never heard of it. We got Saints Row. I think the 3rd. And we got Stacking. So there you go. Well, there you go. Microsoft keeps stacking shit even higher. So there you go, guys. And yes, so like we said this months ago, and it's not something that I want to really, I mean, the free games are free games. I said this all along, but I mean, it's just, ever since Game Pass, we've saw the trend. It's writing on the wall. They don't want to give anybody a good game for free because they want to entice people to go to Game Pass. I think it's as simple as that at this point because PlayStation's still over there tossing out fucking decent games. Like it seems like every month they give you at least one game that's kind of go, oh, that's freaking cool. And you go to Xbox like, what the fuck is this shit? You never even heard of half these games. So how do you guys feel about this month's games with gold? Yada, yada, yada. Anybody want to take the floor on it? Maybe we'll start with Dread since he came in here. It was nice to join us. And Dread, what do you think about games with gold, bro? Your socks in a knot on this one?
I think it has, I think they all relatively blend together, because you got the Raven that's bleeding and then, but you got the Saints, with the row and the guns and everything, and all you do is start stacking bodies. So
there you go.
I mean, I haven't heard of Bleed. The Raven, I don't recall hearing about it. I have to look into it a little bit more, but I'm wondering is that the crime mystery one that they gave away before? The 360 version. And who doesn't have Saints Row already, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right. So that's kind of a and stacking, I don't know if that's going to be for everybody. You know what I mean? Even for the little ones. My daughter probably would never even think of playing that. That's even old timers or like I'd never played with that shit when I was younger. You know what I mean?
3 years ago, Saints Row the 3rd would have been pretty cool, but right now it's kind of like what the fuck, right?
Or the remastered version that would have been cool. You know what I mean? Let's do something like that. So yeah, it is very lacking. It's. I'm still curious about the Raven because I'm still trying to figure out if it's the same one or not. But I just don't see it. And normally I'm like a positive. I'll find something positive about this. I just can't. Not this time.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, Games of Gold technically was a selling point for buying an Xbox, but now it's just kind of like, when 90% of us guys on podcasts kind of go, that's not a very good sign. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it is what it is. Like I get it, but I'll let you guys have your 2 cents worth.
I demand to go last.
Yeah, okay. All right, go nuts. Well, you know what? Other than Saints Row, I've never even heard of these games. I mean, Bleed 2, I mean, that sounds like something that happens to a woman when she changes her birth control pills and it throws off her menstrual cycle and she gets the second one. I mean, that's all I know. But I don't know. This sounds whatever, man. At this point, Microsoft is just cleaning out the fucking closet. You know what I mean? And they're just finding like old shoes and dusty old fucking winter gloves and shit. And they're just like, yeah, give them that. Fucking give it to the church bazaar up the road. That's basically what it's turned into. Like it's kind of shit you buy at a church bazaar in the basement. Yeah. Like church, who the fuck cares, man? Like the thing is, what's going to happen. Okay, this is what I think is going to happen. Games with gold. First of all, no one's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it except for us right now. what's going to happen is they're just going to make it disappear. Kind of like, remember Xbox, what was it? Silver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Remember they had like a silver and the gold, and then silver just kind of fucking like just disappeared, and nobody ever heard of it again, and nobody spoke about it because the focus is obviously, like Noof said, Game Pass. So everything's going to be on Game Pass, and that's the value. Because the thing is, as it stands with Game Pass Ultimate, you're paying for Xbox Live Gold. So in their mind, they're going, well, why the fuck are we giving away 4 free games a month for gold? But if you're paying for gold with the Game Pass Ultimate, you're going to get 400 games now that EA Access is in there, or EA Play, whatever it's called now. So they got that in there. So you watch in 2021, maybe let's say January, February, somewhere around there, you watch Games of Gold is just going to disappear forever, and Game Pass Ultimate is going to be the new norm, and that's all there is to it. It's going to go the way of Xbox Silver. That's basically it. That's all I got to say. Go ahead, Titan. I'm done there.
All right. First off, one in the chat if you hate this topic like me. All right. Second of all, Noof said, Noof, I'm going to give you the sweetest transition when I'm done into the next topic, so you can thank me later, all right?
All right, bro.
So Noof said, PlayStation is giving away free games that are pretty good. Now, that may be true and all, but when PlayStation gets a Game Pass equivalent, right? Let's revisit this topic, and I'd love to see the free games PlayStation gives away when they have a Game Pass like model / equivalent. Okay, can we never come back to this time? My request, which may or may not be heard, but my request is to never visit this topic until that happens. Okay. Until PlayStation comes up with a Game Pass like equivalent.
Well, Titan, at least it's like a period. It only comes once a month, bro.
Except for Bleed 2, guys. So come on.
The only difference is a period actually lasts longer than most people will spend time playing these fucking games.
Is Bleed 2 when you throw up after Red Rings?
Oh, Jesus, man.
Just asking for a friend.
Here's the deal. And I want to say this one last. Here's the deal. And I've said this in a few podcasts before. Here's what I recommend to Microsoft. If there's any guys listening to this podcast, perhaps they don't because we're too raunchy. But here's what I think you guys need to do with Microsoft. Okay. And this is from an honest to God fan. And this is also from a fan who does not have Game Pass and is probably not getting Game Pass anytime soon. Not every Xbox fan has Game Pass or will buy Game Pass. You should remember that not everybody wants it, okay? So you should still remember that particular fan. So what I think you either do, get rid of the 4 games if that's a little too much to give away. Do one game and do one game that's relatively decent. Something that's not, like Mag said, coming out of the fucking the game closets from yesteryear. Something that at least people recognize a little newer. So just do one game, or scrap the games altogether, or give people a choice. You can have the games this month, or you can take credit towards any game in our library. We're going to give you like store credits. How about that? Because they keep gloating about, well, there's $75 value this month, $80 value this month. So if it's that much value, why can't you just give people choice on how they use that value instead of either forcing it? Because a lot of us, like I said, the problem with Game Pass for probably 85% of us, especially as guys on podcasts, and I've said this before, is the fact we have either played those games, we already had them in our collection, probably beat them and moved well the fuck on, or, like I said, they're kind of irrelevant games that most of us would barely play on the best of days, let alone, 6 years after the fact, some old arcade game that you just, where am I going to get the time to play it? Even if you wanted to, like the backlog's so big, I get it. For the average fan picking up an Xbox, Games of Gold is always great value. And I understand where Microsoft's going, so I won't fault them too much. Free games are free games. Games you don't have to pay for above and beyond your subscription is a bonus. But it's just kind of sad that it appeals to one section of fans and completely slaps the other crowd in the face, kind of like, whatever, right? So, that's what you need, man. Some choices out there. Choices are always good. And when people want to go to Game Pass, great. But, and what about the people that decide not to renew Game Pass or make the game downloadable and you don't have to get rid of it? So even if you're on a silver membership, that's a game still that you can play. You don't have to be a gold subscriber or Game Pass to use it. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Correction.
Anyone that doesn't want Game Pass, I like DM me sometime. I'll have a heart to heart with you. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll talk details and stuff.
So I got
want to help you.
I got to DM you here in Titan.
That's right.
a little-
We'll DM each other all night, New.
There's no convincing me, Titan. I am old school to the bone. I am not jumping on that bandwagon. I will die on this ship, brother. I will sink on it.
Just because you're a hardcore, you need your hard disk in front of you doesn't mean that doesn't take away the value, though. You cannot take the value away.
No, I never said that. There's lots of value in it.
I know, but I'm just kind of reiterating this because you seem to be just throwing it aside like a piece of trash,
There's a little clarification. If you quit your gold, you get to keep your 360 games, not your one games.
Right.
You have to resubscribe to gold to get your gold games back.
Yes.
Just a little clarification.
Game Pass is amazing. I will agree with all of you. It's just not for Noof Nukem. Okay, we'll leave it there. I don't need to have this argument and this jousting fest every time I bring it up. Let's do the Ask Arnold segment. We'll come back to the next topic. Well, you wanted to segue into one, didn't you, Titan?
That's up to you, man. I left it for you. You can do your Arnold segment if you want. I don't care.
Because I wanted to talk about the Cyberpunk since we touched on it briefly.
Your show, man. Your show.
My show. No, it's our show, brother. Well, yeah, let's do let's do the Cyberpunk deal first, and then we'll come back into Ask Arnie. So if you guys didn't know, I mean, Cyberpunk obviously delayed till December. Apparently there's early copies out there too. So, which basically means this game has been done. And I still don't know why it didn't ship a couple weeks back, but I guess they say they had some things to iron out, but obviously people have copies of it. So, interesting situation, but I'm not here to talk about that. Talking about, again, the next gen version updates are getting delayed. So that means the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X updates, I guess, have been delayed. And it's largely something to do, I think, with the NVIDIA stuff.
Yeah,
that
go
Titan
to the
mentioned.
Game Pass model one, man. We've been through this one already.
The Game Pass model?
The Game Pass. Sony with a Game Pass model topic. We've talked about Cyberpunk already.
All right, fine enough. We'll move on to that. So, but anyway, Cyberpunk, I think it's, we'll get it eventually. So I can't wait for the game. Excited about that. And definitely can't wait to play it on my Series X. But anyway, if you hadn't heard, Jim Ryan has basically come out and said that Sony has something in the works that will rival, I guess, Game Pass. But in the same article, did not specify what that was, and also went on to say that their games essentially can take up to $100 million to make, and he didn't like the whole day and date that Microsoft does with their big games, because he's trying to say that they're too expensive, and putting them out there on day one is not a good business model for them. So what do you guys think Sony has up their sleeve that could potentially counter? I mean, I thought PlayStation Now was essentially a Game Pass model, but doesn't seem to be quite so successful. So, where do you guys want to? Who wants to jump in on this one?
I can go for it.
Please.
First of all, they don't have anything like Game Pass. I can tell you that right now. Whatever they're talking about, they're completely and utterly full of shit. I can tell you that right now. What they're trying to do is that they're trying to just keep people roped into the situation because Game Pass scares the shit out of them. Yeah. That's a fact. And the other thing is that Microsoft has the infrastructure. They have the financial backing to be able to build a service like this. Okay? You can't become a stock market millionaire with $5 in your pocket. It's not how it works. You can't buy a couple of penny stocks and go, okay, and all of a sudden by next year you got $1 million. It doesn't work that way. Sony does not have the expendable income to be able to pull this off. On top of the fact that they lost 3 to 5 million units, PS5 units, because of the SoC bullshit. Okay, so they're already in the hole. They're already in trouble. They've already got a shitload of consoles already being sent back to them, and they still can't even get their fucking pre-orders done. They can't even get the pre-orders to the people who already paid for them, and people are already shipping boatloads of them back. Thank God I'm not one of them, but I'm just saying.
So far.
How did you get a hold of that damn PlayStation?
Don't worry about it. I'm Italian.
I gotta know.
Friend of a friend, and I threw him.
All right,
DM me about it. Friend of a guy that I knew, and I threw him a couple of $100.
All right, we'll be
cash.
DMing about it.
Yeah, and that was it. That's how I did it. And you should have seen the fucking drop. The drop was like a fucking drug deal, man. It's like he was bringing me a case of cocaine. I'm like standing in a parking lot, make sure it was nice and busy right in front of the Starbucks. I'm messaging. I'm going, I'm wearing a blue hat with a green shirt, standing by a blue car. And he's like, gotcha. And then he rolls up in an SUV and then like puts the window down and then like hands me the PS5, hands me the cash, locks the door, counts the cash, looks around left to right, and he goes, all right, we good? And I'm like, yeah, we're good. It was still sealed, and he drove off. And that was it, because people have been getting shot, robbed, and stabbed over these fucking PS5s. Anyways, the point is, PlayStation ain't got nothing. And King David called it PS Now. You might as well be called PS Later, because you're not getting fucking games that are coming day and date. Okay, you're going to get games that are already out for a year or whatever, because they're going to need to make their money up front on those. Excuse me, not $80 Canadian, $79.99, $90 now. Okay, so with tax, the games here in Canada for PS5 are $100. So there, and then in the States, it's what 70.
Yeah,
and I don't know what your tax situation is like, because you guys don't have the healthcare situation, right? So it's a little different for you guys. So your taxes aren't as high as ours. So, but the point is, they're going to make all that money up front, and then they're going to put it on a service like a year later, like they're doing now. Like, look at that. Like I just, when I fired up my PS5, I've got that, what is it? The PS Plus collection or some shit like that. And there's like 24 games on there. None of those games are new. They're all, the newest one, I believe, is Days Gone at 2019. I believe. Don't quote me on that. I don't want to see anybody in the chat call me out. Come on, man. But anyways, the point is, that's what they're going to do. And they're just going to, I could see what I could see them doing is expanding on that and raising the price. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to expand on it by putting their games in there, but it's going to be at least a year later. I believe even Mooch said that at one of his shows a while ago. He says that he could see Sony doing that, and I agree with him. I think that Sony will do something like that. But to match Game Pass, get the fuck out of here. You're not even going to come close. Okay? You're not even going to come close to that. I just called my New York cousin. Get the fuck out of here. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Yeah. There's no way. They don't have the money to do that kind of thing. And look at what Microsoft's been doing. They went from like 6 studios to 23.
Yes.
Do you think Sony would be able to do that? Not a chance. Now, Sony studios are top quality. Anybody says anything otherwise, you're frauding, okay? Because Sony studios are the best in the world. There's no fucking denying it. But they don't have a lot compared to Xbox. But Xbox is building it because they have the money. They got Microsoft money. They got fuck you money. You know what I'm saying?
They're not too far off, are they? They're in the teens somewhere, right?
Dude,
the high teens?
Not even close. Oh, you mean in terms of studios? I thought you meant money.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think they're in the teens.
Mike, I think they have 13, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they're in the teens somewhere. They're in the teens, but they're not 23.
And we're hearing that they're probably going to add Blue Point to that mix too, as an official
which
studio.
is a smart move. That's a smart move. See, Sony doesn't make a lot of moves, but they make smart ones. Insomniac, huge move. That was an absolute diamond. Okay, that was a diamond move right there. But anyways, the point is, they don't have a fucking Game Pass model. They're not going to have a Game Pass model. Nothing close to what Xbox is doing. And like I said, it is not. It's not feasible for them to do it. That's pretty much it. So
yeah,
and they're full of shit. Sorry, Jim Ryan's full of shit.
Dread, all right. What do you think they got up their sleeve, Dread?
I think how Game Pass was a never was. I think it for Sony, it's a never has been.
So, well, that's true.
They haven't gotten it off the ground. I really haven't had any hands-on myself, but from what I'm seeing and hearing, it doesn't seem like they have those intentions of day and date ever. All right. Until they can actually start making some money somehow that way, right? So I see them double dipping. Game gets released, and then 6 months, year later, maybe even 2 years later, depending on how popular the game is, PC or PS Now, and then shift it over to the other, or depending on yet again, maybe both at the same time, or just shy of each other. So that way, you prolong it. I mean, why not? If you're going to get the guys that are diehard, that are going to buy it right then and there, and then eventually when it comes down in price, if they still haven't bought it, You know, if it's a $20 game because it's, you
Mhm.
know, one of the essential collections, you're paying it $20. You know, just throw it on the service.
Yeah,
You could probably get a few more people that haven't bought it even at $20.
that's right.
You know, if it's a popular game, maybe put it out on PC just before you do that. Get those guys in that market. But
Mhm.
other than that, I just don't see them doing day and date. And hopefully they figure it out because, you know, it's obviously this is the direction everything's going. I
Mhm.
mean, Nvidia's got their thing, Apple's got their thing. Everybody's doing their own thing, like Game Pass in their own way. Obviously, EA is seeing that their version wasn't working too well, so they went to Game Pass. So obviously, there's money to be made at Game Pass.
Yeah.
Devs aren't losing money, so the money's there. If Sony does something similar, they could get that money too. It's just they have to figure out their niche on how to put it out there and make sure that it's actually working. You know, how many times have
That's
people said, I can't download this game, you know, I'm trying to stream it and it's all glitchy and shit. You know, a PS4 game turns into a PS2 game because it's so glitchy. You know,
Yeah.
what the hell's that? You know, you can't play games like that. You know, at least they've got a huge library. And to bring PS1 games, and that's what I'm hearing is some PS2 games were remade, I guess, for the service.
Mhm.
Or altered for the service. So that's really cool. You know, get that out there. They got a huge library from PlayStation 1 on, you know, to now. Stream that shit, man. Get it out there. Get those gamers to be able to get a chance to play these games.
Well, I personally think that they're going to definitely take a good look at the PC market, right? I think that's where Sony's going to try to get into. We saw them dabble with it so far, but they really haven't gone sort of balls deep. Microsoft has made that commitment to PC as well as the Xbox ecosystem. Again, like they don't really care where you play as long as you're investing in their properties and in their type of games. So I think that's where Sony's going to definitely take a look at the PC market. Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think they're going to want day and date. Perhaps there will be timed windows of 6 months to a year, but I don't think you'll be waiting as long as we have been right now to see like games like Horizon Zero Dawn and stuff like that come to the PC marketplace. They're going to want to expand. They're going to want to make sure that they're, you know, because if there's one thing that PlayStation fans may have proven over the last few years is that while the PlayStation install base is massive, you know, when you got over 100 something million PlayStation 4s in homes and, you know, you're struggling to sell your biggest and best games, you know, they're successful, but when you got 100 and something million, don't you think like 25 million, 30 million copies should not really be out of the question, you know, for these games, but yet Spider-Man's their biggest seller. And that's not because, it's partly because it's a quality game. But don't worry, most of that sales for Spider-Man is the fact that Spider-Man is a universally recognized property. If it wasn't Spider-Man attached to that game and it was called anything else, do you think it would have sold whatever the fuck it is now? I think it's probably close to 15 million copies or something like that.
And so, it wasn't a mature title. Yeah.
Exactly. Like God of War, I mean, it sold really well, but it didn't light the world on fire. Nobody's going, hey, God of War, it's been out a couple of years, 50 million sold. You'd be really, wow. But, you know, 8, 9, 10 million at best on 100 million install. Like, so Sony's trying to remedy that. And I think the other problem is with Sony's got to start investing in multiplayer games that keep their ecosystem invested. That's something that while Microsoft might have dropped the ball on we've all heard, you know, the single player narrative kind of games. Well, Sony's dropped the ball big time on multiplayer fun as fuck games, okay? Because when was the last time you saw people in a PlayStation ecosystem play a first-party PlayStation game all the time? The only one I keep hearing that gets brought up here most of the time is The Last of Us and the Factions multiplayer, which, to be honest, I played it and I wasn't a fan. Some people love it, but like nothing is standing out amongst the crowd. You know what I mean? They can make fun of Sea of Thieves all they want, but guess what? Sony would love to have a game in their lineup that has people playing on a weekly basis like Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? And they don't have it.
What if Spider-Man was called Sunset Overdrive 2?
There you go.
Just putting it out there.
About it.
4 or 5 million copies at best.
Now, all right, if Game Pass blows up, to me in this topic, if Game Pass blows up, I'm talking when Game Pass hits like 50 million subs or so. Game Pass hits 50 million subs, that will absolutely force Sony's hand. And then and only then, I think, will PlayStation first-party games go into their wannabe Game Pass service, okay? Because Jim Ryan quoted, all right? Now, he's lying, and we all know this, so take his quote how you want to, okay? How would you take a liar's quote? I don't know. That's up to you, right? I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to say this dude can't say one goddamn truthful thing, and that he's just saying it to put any extra cheap dollars into Sony's pocket as they can. However, that's just me. You may have a different opinion, and that's fine. But he said Game Pass is not a sustainable service. Fucking bullshit to me, because it may be unsustainable for poor ass Sony. Now, before you guys type in the chat and hate on me what I just said there, before you do that, I'm obviously making the statement comparing them to Microsoft, okay? They're poor compared to Microsoft. So don't kill me on that statement. But Mag talked about Sony creating games that cost $100 million to produce, okay? And they're talking about that being like hardly sustainable, if at all. Well, what about a $500 million Halo game? You know, right? And they got, not to mention the other 22 studios on top of that. You got one game for $500 million. How is Microsoft able to sustain this when one of their games is 5 times more than what you're talking about? There's just so much shit that comes out of this dude's mouth. None of it adds up. It's all lies. I can't stand, like, every time this dude talks, I can fucking tear him apart. I'd like to get him on, I'd like to have a debate with this motherfucker and just tear him to pieces. Like, god damn.
Honestly, that dude reminds me of someone that's in a position but doesn't really have a fucking clue what he's doing. He just kind of toes the company line. Like, Sean Layden makes this guy look pretty bad, to be honest with you.
You're right. It's crazy to think of that, but you're right. Like, Sean Layden, I think, was a 10 times better leader for Sony than Jim Ryan, man. It's crazy. Since Jim Ryan has taken over, Sony has literally gone straight down the hole. And I'm talking about from their new console. All right, their new console, it's performing like shit. It's got all these issues. I'm talking about from their messaging, all their we can't sustain Game Pass, and what do you know? Fucking months later, we may have a Game Pass answer.
He's too business-like.
I don't have that answer for you right now, but we may have one. We may talk about it in the future. Like,
he's too business oriented. He's not a social face to the company. Where like you got a guy like Phil, and Phil is a down to earth dude. When he's doing his show, whenever he's doing interviews and shows, he's wearing like a fucking Miss Pac-Man t-shirt and jeans and like a pair of sneakers. You know what I mean? Like, he's a totally chill guy. You would never think that this guy makes like $14 million, $15 million a year, right? He's just like, yeah, man. And every time I'm on Xbox, he's fucking on, because I follow him on there, right? He's always on there playing something. And I'm like, Jesus, when does this guy work? Right? Because I'm like, he's always playing video games. I mean, mind you, that's kind of his career. But I mean, at the same time, I always see him farting around on Game Pass. Like, he just played this game, The Tourist, I think it's called. And apparently it's a really cool game, a cool little indie game. So he's always playing that and stuff, and like weird hours and shit. And I'm like, he's just a regular dude. But when you hear him talk, yes, of course, he's got corporate speak and all that. They have to do that because they got to protect their ass from a legal point of view, right? But at the same time, he's the kind of guy, and I've spoken to him before, he is the kind of guy that you could just have over for like beers and shit and just like, sit there and watch like, I know this guy sounds so Canadian of me, but I'd like sit around and watch the hockey game and have some beers and be like, so, how's it going, man? You're like, rough week at work. And like that kind of shit. Jim Ryan's the kind of stiff that it looks like he's got a 2x4 shoved up his ass, and then you got like a puppet master on top of him, but just going dance puppet. Like, he doesn't have that face that I trust. He doesn't have that attitude that I trust. I don't have confidence in that kind of leadership because of the way he is. And it's nothing against the product, okay? It's nothing against the PlayStation. I got this PlayStation 5 sitting here right now. There's a lot of PlayStation fans out there who don't have one. I got one, and I love it. But I don't like the face of Sony. Anybody know my mantra? You guys know it by now. Love PlayStation, hate Sony. And I just don't like, and you see, and you know, Titan nailed. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
Yoshida's sending him simple emails and this once a week. You lie or you die.
Yeah. And then pulls out the Ghost of Tsushima sword.
Yoshida, yeah, sign Yoshida.
Gets on
You lie
Sora.
or you die. And he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna be nice and subtle. He's got a katana over there in Japan. He might fucking sever my nuts.
Is that a Hattori Hanzo sword? Yeah.
So, I think Jim Ryan's the kind of guy that he's in the boardroom and he'd be like, anybody farts in this boardroom, you're fired. And then as soon as he closes his door, he's like,
Bingo said he's playing Tetris right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just, guys, anybody in the chat, you know, I'm just fucking around. Like, I mean, I'm not going to talk shit about the dude. I don't know who Jim Ryan is. He could be a really nice guy behind closed doors. But the problem is when you got a community like ours, it's a very personable community. Everybody seems to know everybody. I don't know how the hell that happens, but it does happen. And it's a very small world, even though it's a big planet, right? And little big planet. So anyways, the point is that everybody kind of knows each other. So when you got a face of the company that is in like the gaming world, you want someone that people can relate to. And I can't picture a single human being on this planet that can relate to the way that Jim Ryan's messaging is. I really can't. And I think that Sony allows their product to speak for them for the most part, but it wouldn't help to have like a Jack Layton. Layton was a fucking incredible dude, man. I mean, yeah, okay, he was an old dude, but man, he was cool as balls. I love that guy. He used to come out. He was so like, you know, like he like had a little swagger to him. He always had a smile on his face, shaking people's hands, kissing babies like a politician. He was a great dude. And he actually was pretty down to earth, and his messaging was very clear and concise. You know, and this Ryan situation, it sounds like maybe it's not his fault. I think he's getting a shit ton of pressure from above. And I know because I work in a corporate structure now, and I see how the corporate structure works. And I see when I talk to executive directors and have meetings with them and all this other kind of shit, right? I can tell when head office 3,000 miles away is fucking shoving their fists up their ass, up his ass. And you could tell how uncomfortable he is with conversations because you know that pressure's coming from above, right? So you know that Jim Ryan's getting the same thing from Sony right now, especially that they're fucking up on the hardware side. And you know,
I think you're onto something. I don't know if you guys have read the book, The Console Wars, but I have that book, and it's a great book about Nintendo and Sega. And it's just amazing when you're reading that book how different the philosophies were between Sega of America and Sega of Japan. And if it wasn't for if it wasn't for the stubbornness of what's his name there, Tom Kalinske, if it wasn't for his stubbornness and willing to go to bat for that company, Sega would have tanked here in America because he's a big reason that Sonic became the Sonic we know and love. Trust me, I read this amazing book, and it just blows your mind at how often Sega of America and Sega Japan clash. And I have honestly, I feel it in my bones that I bet you Sony of America and Sony of Japan clash an awful lot too. I think
that's why Saturn died, is because of that fighting.
Sim said in the chat, he said, Jim, he brought up at a good point when he said Jim isn't hearing any storage issues complaints, you know. So he's talking about Mark Cerny, and I think he's right. Sim's right. He's like, because like if Jim isn't hearing any storage issues from his fans, then freaking Mark Cerny must have Jedi mind control powers over Jim over there, man.
Because I keep Rabbit Pack math in the closet.
Rapid Pack math. It fixes everything. No storage issues. And that's
you got storage issues, we'll ship you a PlayStation suitcase. You can keep all your hard drives in there.
You could fit a body in there.
Fuck. That's where Jack Layton went.
I'm just gonna need
see where that fucking guy retired. So like he just disappeared like fucking like Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh, we've seen him.
Oh fuck!
What? You've seen him?
Yeah, we've seen him.
Where, like, was he standing next to Bigfoot having a coffee?
Oh, he's actually been in gaming beyond the box. He's been in the chat here and there.
It's a fake one. That's the CIA. That's the
No.
CIA acting like Jack Layton because they know what's up.
I don't know, man. It
Awesome.
sounds about as real as your PS5
Yeah.
unboxing, man.
All right, great topics, guys. Let's catch up in the chat here really quick because we had a couple super chats here. We'll start with the Wise Old Gamer who joins us tonight.
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Wise Old Gamer. He says, "Here's my money. Doof made me do it. He scares me." What the hell? Am I that ugly? Holy Jesus! All right. We also have another one from Joe Dunmore who drops $5. Not at work tonight, on vacation, and I'm drinking and listening. Well, we hope you're enjoying those drinks, Joe.
Hell yeah,
And
Joe.
thanks for joining us once again tonight. Sim, my brother from another mother, all the way from Newfoundland, Canada. What is up, Mr. Timmy? We got Slinky M hanging out. Fun Speculations here, who goes as Mav7 on Xbox. Pretty damn good fucking player, by the way. Red Raven's still here. Spider-Man always in the building, swinging around. Good fucking shit, guys. We got some new people. Pong Souls here tonight. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Cerebral Paul's here with us. That dude cracks me up. Love it. Got to get Cerebral Paul back on here when he's nice. All
Love
digital
him.
84. What is up? We got Chazak. What is up, Chazak? Hope you're doing well. And thanks for joining us. Jay Slayer. Jay's in the house. I think we caught up with everybody. Good shit. All right. Let's get down to the Ask Arnold segment of the night. We didn't have it last week, and I do apologize. Obviously, we had a lot of audio issues last week, and our first topic really went long. But shit, that happens sometimes. So let's get this one out of the way now. Ask Arnold. It is time for you guys in the chat to think up your question. We're only going to do a couple here. We'll let our panel have the first crack at sending Arnold some messages. He missed it last week, so I'm sure he's got a lot to say. So anybody from the panel have a question for Arnie?
Arnie, if you were a PlayStation executive, what would your messaging be if you did not have a Game Pass equivalent? And what would your messaging be to your fans if you did, and if you did not have would your messaging be the same or would it be different?
One of the first thing I want to do is to get down there to the store level, and I want to tell all of our representatives to make sure that you get in the guys at the GameStop to make sure that you sell fire hazard warranty with the PlayStation 5s, because it could potentially melt and burn your house down, and that would be absolutely disgusting. It is crazy. There's also a lot of noise. I've heard some people complaining it sounds like there's bees in there, so I don't know if Winnie the Pooh fucking took the beehives over there to Japan and it was making it, but it's crazy what we're hearing all these complaints in the game that are buzzing out. So I don't know, but I would honestly, I'd be trying to sell more warranty shit than games of this thing. Be like, your warranty is your game. Make sure you're buying it 3 or 4 years because this thing could shit the bed at any time. All right. Anyone
Arnold,
else?
what do you think about PS5 scalpers?
Oh, the goddamn scalpers are terrible. They're the worst of the worst. I mean, I don't mind the guy, capitalism making a little bit on the side. Maybe you ordered an extra one because, you were scared you weren't going to get your first pre-order. So you go and order an extra one and you say, fuck it, I'm going to sell an extra $100. But we're not talking $100 here. We're talking about people that got like 10, 11, and 12. They stored them in the house. I mean, they got more fucking PlayStation 5s than they got kids. I mean, it's terrible. And they're here in the house and they're showing off these pictures like they're really proud of it. Look at all my PlayStation 5s. Come and get one, you dirty bastards. But you want one, you're going to have to pay for it. I don't care if you got to take out a mortgage, second mortgage on your house. We don't care what you got to do. Maybe you could sell one of your kids on the black market because they're popular. It doesn't matter. But you want to come over here and you want to get your PlayStation 5, we're going to charge you up the yin-yang.
Joe Dunmore had one in the chat, but I'm going to kind of slightly twist it, okay? He said, Arnold, why isn't the Terminator in Cyberpunk 2077? I'm going to twist that into, Arnold, is Cyberpunk 2077, with the cybernetics and stuff, is that where you came from? Is that where you started from?
No, I came out of a woman's vagina. I was born in the womb. What the fuck are you talking about? It was way back when, back in Austria, but that's where I came from. But no, the PlayStation 5 is amazing. That game looks awesome. Although I swear to God, I think we should have a spin-off game. This should be Cyberpunk 2077 versus Terminator Junk 2077. And I'm going to beat that Johnny Silverhand with his own hand, and I'm going to beat him to death with it, and then I'm going to kick his head down the street like a soccer ball. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So Arnie, between you and Sly, which console, okay, so between the two of you, which console do you think you could crack open like a walnut better and easier? And who would do it better, you or Sly?
Well, it would have to be me, and honestly, I want to buy my own PlayStation 5 because I swear to God, the way that thing is made, it looks like you want to pry it apart. You want to put your hands on the top and you want to peel it open. You know, the last time I remember doing that, I think it was at a whorehouse. I grabbed both flaps and I looked inside and said, "What the hell is up? Let's do it. Come on." No, it makes you just want to peel it apart. It looks like it's already peeling back. You know, it's like foreskin.
No one in the chat's asking questions. They're all just laughing.
Okay, one more, last one.
I got a good one. Wise old gamer.
Yeah. Do you know which testicle you came out of? I know I came out of my dad's left testicle because there's nothing right about me. Okay, that one gets fucking comment of the night right there. Oh my God. Rather close with me, I'd have to come out of the both testicles because look at me, the size of me, you know. I took a lot of sperm cells. When I penetrated my mother's ovary, she told me that there was more than one that got in there, and they both had a fight. And that's what happened. And they went in there, and I come out. I was genetically produced to be an absolute beast, and it's what I turned out to be. I went on to Mr. Olympias, and I pushed the iron, and I made big muscles, and it did really well for me there. All right, guys. What's up, Prophet? Welcome to the show. Glad you can be here, brother. I'm glad you can be here. Hope you enjoyed the segment, guys. Arnold will be back again next week. Let's keep the show rolling. That was a lot of fucking fun. Sorry about last week, but I'm glad he could come back this week. All right, let's do it. Phantom Kraken will appreciate the question. Maybe keep it in line for next week. If we don't get to you, we'll try it again. So, all right. Yes, boom, boom, kaboom. Prophet is in the room. All right, let's do this. This one's going to be a real quick one. I don't know if you saw this, but a new Tomb Raider game is coming. But unfortunately, it is a mobile game. I like the art style. It's kind of cute. It's kind of cartoony. Cool little short trailer. But the biggest thing is, I know if anybody knows me, you guys know that I love the reboot of the Tomb Raider franchise. To me, they're three of the best games this generation. As a matter of fact, my top game of the generation, I've said this on many podcasts, is Rise of the Tomb Raider, which I thought was just a magnificent game, like near perfection on every level. I just adore that game, still do. I love it. Graphics, the evolution of the character, the story, it's what sequels are meant to be, when it takes everything you loved about the first game, amplifies it and continues. Crystal Dynamics killed that game, and unfortunately killed it in a good way, and pretty much killed that Avengers game, which, oh my God, I think is an absolute piece of turd. But love Rise of the Tomb Raider. Shadow was an amazing game as well. When I hear the community go, I haven't played it, guys, you're doing yourself a damn disservice. Go get those freaking games. You owe it to yourself. Fantastic action adventure games, great controls, awesome character, great graphics. Do it. Go do it. Oh, fun. Well, I left the Gaming Forte is in the chat, and Gaming, I left you a link in the Twitter. So you can go click it in. Oh, he's in? Oh, he's just waiting. Standby. I got you. Hang on. There we go. Let's get him in here. I didn't hear the beep. Maybe I was doing the Arnold segment. All right. He said,
I was trying to be so sly about it. Like, hey, check it out. Look at the chat.
Yo, first of all, I apologize with the misscheduling. I completely forgot that we rescheduled DPS for today because we didn't want to do anything on Thursday.
Right.
So I wanted to come through today still to do this part, but I have nothing for next week. So I will come back next week and do it again with you next week. So you get a whole show with me.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll send out the invitation again next week. Hey, as a matter of fact, it's kind of weird because Dreadpool was actually scheduled, and I totally forgot. Somewhere along the line, I forgot my DMs, and he's like, "Are you still wanting me on tonight?" And I'm like, "Shit, this is the 24th." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." So, but anyway, Dread is here. We're having a good time, guys. Tomb Raider. Do you think the franchise do you think we're going to see another one as the end of the story? I mean, do you enjoy those Tomb Raider games? If so, what's your favorite in the series? Anybody want to jump in and take this? I don't need to go on the line. Who wants to jump in?
100%. I'm jumping right in here. Let me tell you something. One of the best games I ever played in the entire 90s. And it absolutely changed the entire spectrum for me for gaming, as from a casual thing to a hardcore thing, was Tomb Raider 1 on the PlayStation 1. I know if you try to play that game now, you're just like, holy Jesus Christ. Like, she literally just has triangles for tits. There's you don't even know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. But at the time, it was probably one of the most magical experiences I've ever played in a video game. Like, it just felt so Indiana Jones-ish, and going in those tombs and swimming underwater and discovering all these treasure chests and all this cool stuff. And then, you were shooting those animals and all that. And I've been in love with Tomb Raider ever since, except for Angel of Darkness. They could take that shit right into the bushes, just like Animal Crossing, Forte. Okay? It's not going to win Game of the Year.
Oh, you noticed the name.
Oh, I noticed the name.
Let that sink in. Let that. I'm taking all the receipts. Everybody that keeps saying Animal Crossing ain't gonna win. Shout out to the Game Awards being on a Thursday next week during our episode of DPS podcast. We're gonna do a long stream that day. I am gonna be unbearable. Unbearable.
The fact that you're picking Animal Crossing for Game of the Year already tells me it's going to be unbearable. That fucking game is unfucking bearable.
Oh my god, no. But anyways, besides Angel of Darkness, I loved all the Tomb Raider games. As for the reboot, that's where I absolutely re-fell in love. And Noof, I'm gonna have to disagree with you here. I think that the first one was, in my opinion, only was better than Rise of the Tomb Raider. I know that the popular opinion is that Rise was better.
Okay.
But the first one, the one that was just called Tomb Raider, what was that, 2013, I think?
Yeah,
and
I
absolutely adored that game. I absolutely adored it. And then I got the definitive edition afterwards when it came on Games with Gold, I believe, wasn't it? Something like that. Anyway, that's when Games with Gold was. Well, it was before GamePass, so it's understandable. But anyway, as for this new one, it's gonna be kind of fun. I think it's just gonna be like a twin stick shooter. That's what it looks like to me, right? So I mean, Shota pulled out both guns and she was kind of like just shooting around and stuff. And
right.
And it's for mobile. It's for mobile.
It's a mobile, but you never know. Maybe it'll come to a console. It looks like it could be a good game for if it's priced right and comes to console. So
yeah, I could see. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not really hyped about it. I don't think there's going to be any exploration or any traversing in it or anything like that because for me, the Tomb Raider thing was never about the shooting. It was never about the guns. It was never about any of that. For me, it was always about discovery. It was always about adventure. It was always about an excellent story, the mysteries of like all these ancient ruins and stuff. I love that shit. And I mean, I've loved that shit ever since I was a kid, man. When I was like 7 years old, and my parents, I don't know why, but no wonder this is the way I turned out. I was 7 years old, and my parents took me to go see the Temple of Doom. And they ripped the guy's fucking heart out. Okay, it was like, oh no, Kalima, and I was crying in the movie. Okay, now you know what's wrong with me. Now you know what's wrong. Okay, I remember seeing that in the theater. So I mean, anyway, ever since those Indiana Jones days, the Tomb Raider thing just kept with me. I love that ancient stuff. The Uncharted series, same deal, right? But anyways, this game, I think it's just going to be like a fun little fart around with it, fuck around with it for like an hour here and there. Kind of thing. It'd be cool if it came to consoles and maybe they expanded a little bit. And it could be the kind of thing that could end up I know, Noof, I'm sorry, buddy, but it might be those kind of things that ends up on Game Pass and just shows up one day and you know what I'm saying? If
Spartan Assault can come to console, then this game can too.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say about that. But my love for Tomb Raider is just endless. And as for the franchise coming back, 100% it will. As long as it's profitable, it'll always come back. It's just, it's just a matter of time. Maybe they're just going to let it breathe for a bit. Give it a little bit of time, like I think they should do with Gear 6. Just my personal opinion. They should just let it breathe, chill, give it a couple years, let people start to forget about it, and then it'll generate hype again as they start to bring maybe a new trilogy about or something. But either way.
Yeah, that's the only thing I really think about it. I think the first remake in 2013 was by far the best. I mean, granted, the original Tomb Raiders before that were completely different types of games and stuff where this is where they actually went full 3D dimensional with the way that the games play, and it took more of that Uncharted feel. And in a lot of people's eyes, and including mine, I felt like the first Tomb Raider did Uncharted better than Uncharted did it. It was like really good, really enjoyable. Story was very grounded in what we knew about the Tomb Raider lore. So I think a lot of people really truly enjoyed that. Yeah. But I'm also with Mag when it comes to we kind of needed a break from it because they made so many of them so fast. It was like the story, like it morphed into something completely different than what a lot of people expected by the time you got to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So this could be a very a easy sidestep depending on what they do with the story and how it's integrated with the way that the game is played. So I would be looking forward to it, but I don't know if I'll play it on a mobile phone. I mean, at this point, I got brand new systems. I'm not really looking forward to playing anything that's on a streaming service or on my mobile phone. I want to play on my PlayStation 5 or my Series X or on my PC. And if it's not available there, it's something that I can easily wait for it to come to console.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing I'll say about those two, because obviously you can't really talk about Tomb Raider without drawing some comparisons to Uncharted. And a lot of people say, well, Tomb Raider ripped off Uncharted. Well, I'm sorry, my friend. Lara Croft was around long before Nathan Drake.
Exactly,
Tomb Raider, that was essentially, Uncharted was essentially Tomb Raider for PlayStation when it came out, right? And luckily, the first game did well enough and had a loyal following enough to continue that franchise. Number 2 took it to a whole new height and what turned that franchise into the Uncharted we know. But the only thing that I miss about both games between the two is I like the mechanics and the graphics of the Tomb Raider games better. But I think with the character aspect of Uncharted is a little better because Nathan Drake, he's wittier, funnier, and he has great side characters too, with Elena and then of course Sully. Whereas Lara Croft doesn't have that connection with a lot of her characters. They're just really side pieces, and she's the main one, which I get it. But you know what I'm saying? There isn't that charisma. There isn't a lot of laugh out loud moments with Tomb Raider. It's kind of very serious all the way through, so maybe we'll see a little more of a humorous side of Lara Croft perhaps in the next game,
Yeah, people were worried about what would happen to, is Sully going to make it through 4 and all this other stuff? And then they made a spinoff of Nadine and Chloe and the Lost Legacy, which I think was a better version of Uncharted 4.
It was better than Uncharted 4.
Yeah, it was better than playing with them. So that speaks to what you were just talking about. Uncharted, I just feel in the story aspect had more grip on you than what Tomb Raider itself. Like I said, outside of the first Tomb Raider where you were super invested because you wanted to see how the story was retold to you and basically the coming of age of the Tomb Raider. The rest of the games didn't really. They basically just fast forward, and you went from being this curious archaeological person that was just looking for an adventure, and you found it in different places. And then all of a sudden, in the second Tomb Raider, you were the Tomb Raider, and it was 10 years went by, but it was only a year and a half compared to Uncharted. It built up over the course of, 10 years over the course of 10 years of that game. That's where I think they kind of missed the boat with fleshing out fleshing out Tomb Raider a little bit more, where Uncharted took a little bit more risk with the story development.
Would you guys say that Tomb Raider Shadow of the Tomb Raider though had the best tombs? Because I found that was the one thing that game did dramatically better in my opinion.
Love that. Yeah,
the tombs were a lot better in the third ones.
Well,
the first one didn't have any tombs but one.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta side with Mag on this one because I beat Rise of the Tomb Raider, but I did not beat Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider is phenomenal too. The DLC tombs are probably some of the best Tomb Raider stuff I've ever played. I mean, they are phenomenal. Like this, some of those. Noof, did you play any of those? The DLC?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I beat all the games. I got all the.
Okay, so you're like me.
Bro.
You got an absolute hard on for Tomb Raider. No, so not for those reasons, but the games are so bloody good.
Well, it is nicer to stare at her ass than a dude's ass in a game. I'll tell you that much.
I don't know, man. Nathan's pants are real tight in Uncharted 4. I mean, I'm not complaining. Oh, Noof, we got a super chat from the doctor.
What? Hey. What? We did? Oh, I guess I forgot. Sorry. Let's catch up with that one real quick. The doctor drops $5 in the super chat. It's a great show. Like always, you guys work hard while I drink. Happy turkey weekend. Thank you. All right.
Nice.
Okay, go ahead.
Nice.
Sorry about that.
No, Noof, you know what? You scared me when you asked this question in the chat. Because like I said, I didn't beat the Shadow of Tomb Raider, right? Noof asked, will this be the last Tomb Raider? Now, I thought he's giving me maybe the worst spoiler and possibly the worst way. For a second, I was I was getting nervous. I got to play Shadow real quick, right? But Shadow, because Shadow was in Game Pass for a little while, but I didn't beat it. I didn't. I was probably stuck in Smite. I was probably stuck in Smite land at that time. But to me, there has to be another Tomb Raider. All right. To me, it's how could they not? I could actually see them doing yet another reboot and like adding like maybe puzzles to a multiplayer kind of deal. Now adding some puzzle / multiplayer games, that would be another cool marriage in my opinion. So let me know in the chat if you think I'm crazy or not. Let me know what you think about that, and marrying puzzles to multiplayer, and maybe some, I don't even know if it would need combat at that point. I guess it would just depend on how they did it, but I'll let the rest of the panel have at it. I'll let Dreadpool have at it, as you guys want to answer that in the chat if you want to do so. So Dreadpool, have at it.
Yeah, no, I agree with everybody about the 2013 being really the one that got you. You know what I mean? I think it was probably the best one, only for, just yet again, it was a new experience. It was the new way to get back in there. We hadn't seen her in a while, and it, everything was all pixelized. So, we're looking at the Madonna cones and like, ooh, those that had the PC had the nude, copy of it, whatever. And whatever. But it was a great game. The other ones had their own advantages to them. You know what I mean? They had their each one had their own thing about it, which made it better than the other one. But overall, I'm going to go with the 2013. Now, yet again, let it sit some time. I wouldn't say Gear 6. Let it sit there and hide it away for a bit. No, just don't talk about it. Work on it. Polish it. Right? Same thing here. Polish the game. Work on the game now. Let it drag out for however long it needs to be to polish this game. So when it gets released, it comes out immaculate. Give us a new storyline, either as a reboot or an extension to it. I just don't want to see this bullshit Temple of Osiris. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no. Not for a full-fledged AAA game, not a chance.
Exactly. I mean, I was like, what the hell? I was like, oh, cool, a new Doom Raider, right? I bought it. I'm like, what the hell am I? Why didn't I research this before I bought this damn thing? It wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't really what I was expecting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yet again, give it some time. Let us kind of let it fade off into our memory. Maybe deal with the Tomb Raider Planet or Perfect Dark that Interactive is going to push out. Let's play some of that and then come back to Laura. Let's get into maybe like we saw in the chat, dual wielding. Let's do some of that. Maybe like Halo does. Throw a little bit of spin in there too. Let's go back to the cones. Bring the cones back. Let's
like her chest cones.
You can't play it there in the old graphics. Apparently, there's a thing you can put in and actually play the game as the old graphic Tomb Raider, which is hilarious.
On which one?
It is.
On is it Rise? I think it's Rise, isn't it?
It's either Rise or Shadow, where you buy all the skins.
Yeah, and you can actually play as that old 2006 model.
It's in Shadow.
I tried it. It fucking tripped me out, man. It was trippy.
The controls the same, or they?
No, it's new controls with the old graphics. So cone tips.
All right, good. I was gonna say, don't give me the old controls.
No. It's like the new game. Everything, like the movements, everything else, the frames, everything was exactly the same. It's just the skin. But is it ever trippy to look at, because you're looking at this gorgeous like jungle. Aztec jungle, and then you got this fucking like these blocks running.
It's like putting a fucking Minecraft character in there,
Exactly. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so it's like South Park in the jungle or something.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's hilarious.
But yeah, it's just let it brew, perfect it and push it up and surprise us.
Let me give these guys credit for one thing that nobody's touched on, and I think Silent Wyvern reminded me of this in the chat. What's up, Silent? Long time no see. Hope you're well. He's a AAA publisher polishing a title before launch. They have the half baked now, but see, that's the thing. In my experience with all three of those Tomb Raider games, they seemed very fucking polished. There was very little brokenness about the games in my personal experience with them. Did anybody else have any issues? Because it's starting to seem like this is a thing of the past, that we're basically groomed to accept broken fuck ass games these days, and I'm getting really tired of. I'm really tired of massive updates on day one. Just getting a bit much now. And I'm just getting tired of it. Like, I don't know what's going on, but either there's no fucking R&D or people in these departments anymore testing this shit or what. Like, what's going on?
You know what they're doing, Noof? They're saving money on the R&D by putting it out. I'm serious, eh? Like, there's a lot of cutbacks in the industry. You know what they do is that instead of having it, instead of like cooking it a little longer in the oven, what they do is basically we become the guinea pigs. So what happens is they send the game out, and because it's a lot easier these days because the technology is much better, that they're able to fix a lot of the bugs on the fly as people are playing the game.
Yeah.
Right. So once it's out in the wild, they start working on it. And before you even have 2 seconds to bitch about it, all of a sudden, like the next day it's fixed or there's a little patch or, you know, you don't even notice it a lot of times now because a lot of the times these consoles, if you set it to that, the consoles have the auto updates, right? So even when you're sleeping or whatever, there's like updates going through.
What console is that? I got my Xbox set to auto update, and I still have to physically update it. Are you kidding?
You know what? That does happen to me sometimes too, and I can't figure it out. And then other games, it just doesn't. It's really, really bizarre. I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, in theory, Dreadpool is that it's going to that it's supposed to do that, so we're the guinea pigs, right?
No, I agree with you.
They throw it out there and they go, all right, let's see how it goes. Because what's better, having six guys sitting in an office fucking around with a game, or having 1 million people playing it at the same time? You know how much money you could save by having 1 million people finding bugs as opposed to 6 dudes sitting in a room? You know what I'm saying? So that's what they do, and that's why they send out these broken ass fucking games. But Noof is 100% right. The Tomb Raider games come out fucking polished.
Yeah, I can't remember of a game came out with any issues.
No, none.
I mean, 1 or 2 maybe, if that. I mean, I think which one? The second one had one issue, some sort of glitch when you were hiding. But this is all based on memory right now. I'm not 100% certain, but I don't remember like big time. Like, oh my god, did you see this person has no face, or we're looking inside out. You know what I mean? Like,
or the
fact that their eyes.
I've been looking for the Miles Morales brick faces, eh? You know those
have
you seen those? I've been looking for those. I just played about an hour of Miles Morales today, and I was just like, where the fuck are they? Where are the brick guys? Where are the brick guys? Because I think they're on the boats or something, right? And their face is literally like a brick.
Oh yeah.
It's like a weird glitch or something. Like
they look like they came out of GoldenEye on the N64.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that you can't think of anything kind of lets you know that's
exactly.
That's like kind of the hallmark of a good game. You know, never mind, you know, Square Enix coming out saying the game underperformed in 2013 and sold 8 million copies, and they don't know what expectations really are. The game to me was phenomenal. I beat it on multiple platforms because I enjoyed it that much. It just comes down to, are you ready? With most games steering in that direction, you know, the third person over the shoulder type gameplay, are you ready for another game to be like that? Because I think that's kind of where the fatigue for a lot of people are. So I think that's why I think that also might be why they're changing it up and doing something different with Tomb Raider. It seems like they do that like every other game. What was the other one? What was the other game they did on that was on Xbox Live that was a twin stick shooter that they did in between Shadow.
There was Temple of Osiris.
So they kind of known for doing this. So it looks like they're saying, instead of just giving the IP a break, we're just going to do a break from the traditional way that we do the game and give you something in the middle before they launch it to another mainline Tomb Raider game.
Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I've always said I like that when they expand the lore. I just was not happy with Osiris. But, you know, when you expand the lore with another type of gameplay or some sort of other mechanic, you know, so that way you're not always the same thing. You know, just allow it to grow. It's just...
Yeah. Let's catch up with the chat real quick here. Silent Wyvern dropping $2, and he has a random thing. Egg farts. I can smell them already. Goddamn.
That's the best super chat I've ever seen.
Egg farts. All right, egg farts it is. That's the code word of the night. He might win Titan Dragos. What do you call it?
Oh, man. Common sense winner of the week. Not for that, man. He's got my olfactory sense going haywire right now.
There you go. Anyway, it's a couple minor topics before we get out of here. I was going to talk about the Game Awards a little bit, but I think I'm going to leave it for next week's show because it's going to be a big one to get into, and there's a lot of categories, and I want to talk to each of these guys. So the people on the panel next week, keep that in mind. We're going to talk about this. And Forte, if you're coming back here then next Tuesday, you'll be able to jump in
I'm
on
here.
all these topics.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave that for next week since next week is a week of the Game Awards, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll leave it for them because I do want to talk about the categories.
Actually, the week after.
I can say that right now, if the Golden Joystick Awards are any indication, The Last of Us Part 2 is cleaning up right now. It's taken the Ultimate Game of the Year. It's taken Best Art Direction. I think it's like 4 or 5 awards, I think, already from the Golden Joystick. So that might give you an idea how the Game Awards may follow suit. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But the next topic I want to talk about, though, real quick is I just wanted to talk about, and this is one I think Forte might be able to weigh in as well, since he works at the retail level. If you guys are not familiar with Forte and his work, he's on a lot of podcasts, but there's no secret the man works at GameStop. So he's on the front lines each and every day. He sees the ins and outs at the store level, knows how, the back game works, so to speak, sees inventory, sees how marketing is presented through each company. Obviously right now, PlayStation 5 is a hot commodity. I think they both are. It seems like they're both very hard to secure, but I want to talk about the scalpers. Like I said earlier, an odd guy doing a couple of pre-orders gets an extra one, because he's afraid he's not getting a pre-order and he sells it for an extra 100. I'm not completely okay. I don't have as much of a deal with that, but when you see a guy with like 12 and 13 of them, and it's clearly like what the intention is here, and selling them for double the price, almost triple the price. I mean, I want to know how you guys feel about scalpers in general, and is there any way between the store levels and our levels that we can start kind of cracking out, or is it just got to tell people you gotta not buy from these guys? Anyone want to take the floor? Maybe I'll start with you, Forte.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with scalpers in general. I mean, because it's supply and demand.
Right.
My problem is when you're going out and doing 10, 15, 20, like the dude that posted on Twitter where he got DOSed and everybody went to said, we're coming to your house in Wisconsin to take your PlayStation out your basement. That dude's a dick. He can eat all types of different things and put stuff where stuff don't shine. That's who he is. He's the worst case scenario of it. I don't have a problem with people trying to make money on the back end because look, that's what retail does. Retail don't buy these systems at cost. They buy them a little below cost. And they make their money like it's only like $10 to $15, which is like very minimum compared to what we're seeing these systems sell for online. But that's not that's not a problem. But the thing is right now, if you guys haven't seen, it was the interview with the person that owned the website that does a lot of the botting services and stuff. Right. They said they have up to 3,500 systems that they have acquired, PlayStation 5s they have acquired since it's been released. And they have a service where you could pay anywhere from $40 to $530 a year, and you will get notifications on any system that's in stock or any item, honestly, that's in stock before even everybody knows about it. And that's where the problem is. It's like you got all of these different people going out here using these different services to get this stuff. And they even said that it really doesn't work for people that's trying to get just one system. They said it only really works when people are trying to get multiple. So these people out here getting 5, 10, 15 orders at one time, and they're making bank off of it. And it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon because Best Buy has come out and said that they don't expect any more systems before the end of the year. They said they're not getting any more. So everything for them is going to be online. You got Target saying everything's online. Walmart's been doing everything online since the inception. And this Friday at GameStop is the last chance to walk into a retailer to get a PlayStation or an Xbox in the store. So and then you couple that with the interview from Phil Spencer and couple that with the CFO coming out talking about demand not meeting manufacturing peaks into spring. That's just for Xbox. PlayStation has a lot more appeal to it right now. What do you think that's going to look like? What, summer? until you can comfortably walk into a store and buy these systems. And people may think that this is something that's really not truly going to happen. But being a person that walks in the store and sees this, these companies don't want to send product to stores
Right.
when a store has a possibility of being shut down.
Right.
They don't want this stuff sitting in their back rooms of a store. Like, say we already see cases going up all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
People are being late, like being furloughed and stuff. Companies are making decisions to close their doors if the government's not doing it for them.
Right.
So it's like, what do you want them to do? They want to sell the product, but they don't want to send it to stores where it's just going to sit there. It's kind of a lose-lose situation right now, but I just tell people, don't buy from scalpers. I mean, it's going to be hard because I understand people have kids and their kids want to buy.
Too late for Meg.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I get it because you might have to bite that $800, $900, $1,000 bullet to buy these systems for your kids, because your kids mean more to you than money can buy. And I get that, but that's why this is going to continue, because in a minute, scalpers are going to be the only way you're going to get these systems, because I think retail after this Friday is out of the question for the rest of the year. That's just my thought process on it. And the fact that Sony has come out and said that all our stuff's going to be online, nothing's going to be at retail, that kind of just cements the situation for me even more.
I want to piggyback off that quickly, what Forte was saying. And actually, guys, I didn't want to say it on the air, but I do have to go after this. So I got to go deal with some stuff. But let me get this out of my system here. First of all, Forte is almost 100% right that I think in the next 3 to 6 months, if not even longer, possibly into the summer, I can tell you that scalpers will be almost the only way you can get these bloody consoles. Okay, they will not be sitting on store shelves. They are not going to be available. And actually, up here in Canada, I got some. This is why I ended up pulling a few strings. And it wasn't just a random dude that I got this from. I had to pull strings to find a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy. Okay, because that's what Italians do. And so we found this. Yeah. So we, and I got a hold of a console yesterday. And like I said, he only wanted a couple $100 more than the asking price. And I would more than happy to throw it at him.
That's not bad.
No, exactly. Like the guy wasn't gouging the shit out of me. It was just a couple $100. And I'm like, here, dude, fuck it, take it, man. Couple $100, and I had a PS5. And by last night, after primetime gaming, I already had it hooked up, ready to go. So anyways, the point is, spoke to a couple of people that I know at EB Games, and a couple of people at Best Buy who I also speak to on occasion. And they all said that there will be no restock at all in 2020 in Ontario, at least in Ontario, Canada. And the reason for that is because the people who actually got the pre-orders and paid for it, they haven't even arrived yet.
Yep.
So what's happening is the drop that's going to be happening on Black Friday is not for new customers. The drop that's happening this Black Friday here, even in Canada, even though we don't have a Thanksgiving up here, I don't know why the hell we're having a Black Friday, just riding off the coattails. But anyways, the point is, is that the people who actually are supposed to get the console on November 12th still haven't got them yet. Yeah. So especially they still have. You see what I'm saying? So what's happening is they're backlogged on a backlog. So the ones that are coming here are to fulfill the people that were supposed to get them on launch. So they're so backlogged that they said maybe you might be able to get another drop somewhere in February. And I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm not waiting that long. And so that's when I start making some calls. But yeah. Anyways,
and the COVID situation drove demand up for every type of video game console, even old stuff. I'm walking into those, the little stores, the ones that just sell the retro consoles. Yes. And I have never seen shelves so bare. It's like, Jesus, people are buying shit from every generation now. It's like, which is good on them, great. But some of those consoles and games are like crazy overpriced, and they're buying them like they're like crack right now.
Well, the other problem is that you can't compete with the bot system, and there are guys like I actually knew. I think I sent you a picture in the chat. I think it was last week in our private little chat group, and there's a dude who had like 22 PS5s.
That's right,
and that was like literally 15 minutes from my house. And I sent the picture. I'm like, dude, Look at this motherfucker right here. And actually, if you zoom in on the picture, right next to those 22 boxes of PS5s, he had both disc and digital editions, right?
Yep.
Right next to it, he had a shit ton of Jordans and
Damn.
Nike shoes. So he obviously this is his job, right?
Yeah.
So he probably has 2 or 3 systems going at the same time, and his garage, or well, probably not garage, that wouldn't be too safe, but somewhere. Okay, he's got all of these things that he bought, like high-end demand items, and has bots purchasing like nuts. So I zoomed in on the picture. I go, what does he got behind there? And now you could see like a stack like 10 feet high of all these Jordans and all this shit that people will pay thousands for, right? So that's his business. And right in front of it, he had about 22 PS5s, and he still had about a dozen Series X, no S's. But yeah, so you can't compete with that. So, and especially in a COVID society that we're dealing with right now, where you can't get anything in a store, there's nothing, it's not going to happen. So it's either you wait or you're just going to have to bite the bullet. But anyways, gentlemen, on that note, I do have to run.
Yes.
So I'm sorry,
right,
duty
Appreciate
calls.
you staying this long, bro. You almost did the whole show.
It was a fucking fire show tonight, man. I had a great time. Boys, we'll be talking behind the scenes. Chat, you guys were hilarious.
Yes.
Wise Old Gamer gets the MVP tonight for hilarity, by the way. That guy has been on fire in the chat. Forte, I will see you next Monday. But everybody, the Mag says have a great night, and I will see you all next week.
Mag, one more thing. If you looked around the backside of that picture, everything would have been pixelized and square, looked like nuts and shit. Just so you know.
Yeah. Either way, you know what? Whether it was pixelized or not, we've all talked about how bad this is getting and how ridiculous people are acting. But like, to me, it's like humanity is such a shit show at this point. Like, did we expect anything different?
True.
Like, there are so many fucking pieces of shit out there. in situations like these where a scalper fucking group can obtain 3,500 PlayStation 5s.
Yeah.
And
I want Titan to be in a fucking GameStop lineup when some dude fucking buys multiple.
Oh man.
All right, an extra one or two. An extra one or two, okay, all right, but 3,500, man. Like, good God, we're all asking ourselves. Next gen, we're all going to be asking ourselves, hey, why do I have to do a credit check and jump through all these extra fucking hoops instead of just buying one from a goddamn website or at a store? Why are we jumping through all these extra hoops? Well, it's because of these fucking loser pieces of shit.
There you go. Stop selling them online, but then that's never going to happen. Stop selling them online. Send them to the fucking retailers. Tell people you got to buy them in store. That reverse the fucking order. Make them online down the road, but put them in retail. So you got to be first come, first serve. You're either in line or you don't get one. Boom, done.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's
I mean, it's crazy that an old school like tactic like that may be the only opportunity, maybe the only saving grace. That's weird, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the funny thing is these guys, just like Mag was talking about, they're using these bots that we're using to purchase the shoes. Now they've shifted it over to the consoles. Talking with Italian clowns about all this, and it's funny how they're doing it, and it's just, no matter what we do, they got the Captica, they got all this stuff, and they're still circumventing it, right? So they have people over in Asia or India where as soon as they need the Captica translated, it shifts over to them. So a human actually does it, and then it goes back to the bot. So it's like, no matter how much they've done, it's still there. I mean, and the only way, like everybody's already said, go to the store, have it go to the store level, being online, and that's the funny thing is they want the money. They don't care where it comes from. They want the money, and those scalpers are giving them the money. That's it. Now, the other thing is, let those scalpers buy that shit. And if you're a millionaire and you forgot to I guess my son wants the new console, whatever that thing is, then you know what? Get gouged.
Right.
But for everybody else like us, don't buy it from these scalpers. Let them sit there and lose that money where they actually have to sell it at or below cost to get rid of it. Do not buy it. Plus, how are you going to take it back to the scalper to say, hey, look, something's not right here? You can't go back to them. So
I do 100. I do 100 extra. That's it. That's my draw point. If I could find a PS5 number for $730, I maybe think about it. But any more than $100 over cost, so fuck that shit.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
See, and I got no problems here. Here's the other funny part, because everybody's like, fuck scalpers. And I'm like, you know what? I got no problems with somebody doing a couple here and there, 3,
Right.
4, whatever, we all don't make that kind of money anyway. And those people are only making enough. If they sell 2, they're selling it like an extra $250 each to basically get their free console. And that's it. You know what I mean? So they're not gouging like some of these other guys are, and that's the worst part is people. I'm watching eBay. You got 22 bids on it, and it's already all over $1,000. And it's like, after so many bids, somebody should have just stopped and said, you know what, screw you, I'm out of here.
My friend paid $850 for an Xbox Series X. He bought it off a guy here.
And is it working?
Oh yeah, his Xbox Series X works fine. It was brand new. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it stays working.
Did you guys see that video? There was a guy, someone was doing like a back lot kind of deal or whatever from a scalper, and this dude actually made a fake PlayStation 5. He's like, and this guy's like, check your boxes, open your boxes before you give him the money, open your boxes, because like he opened it up and it's like this fake PS5.
I've seen that one.
He's like, you gonna buy it or what? He kicks. He's like, hell no, I ain't gonna buy this damn thing.
And the guy standing there like, what do you mean? You sure you don't want to buy it? It's got like paper on either side of it.
It was hilarious. It was like tape over it and junk. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
What's up, Mr. Kima? What's up, Masshole? How you guys doing tonight? Thanks for dropping by, guys. We had 65, I think, or 68 in the house at one point tonight. That's fantastic, guys. Thanks so much. Stubbs, what's happening, brother? All right, any further thoughts on the whole Scalpy thing?
Don't do it.
Just, try to refrain if you can. If you're really desperate, I mean, it's your fucking money. I don't care what you do with it. You know what I mean? If you get divorced over it, well, then I guess, that's actually a bonus. You'll save money in the long haul. Trust me, outside of the alimony. All right, just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Let's get down to the final. We got, like I said, a couple more, but we're running late. This one's going to be real quick. I want to get everybody out of here, obviously, but it is Thanksgiving in the United States. We celebrate ours back in October up here in Canada. So yes, we have Thanksgiving. As far as the Black Friday thing, we do it in Canada as well, but we only started getting in on the bandwagon a few years ago because up here, the retailers just found that they were missing out on the boat. You know what I mean? Like, especially like it makes more sense. Why wouldn't you have a sale before Christmas when people have money and they're looking to buy? But traditionally in Canada, we do our big sale on Boxing Day, which is the 26th after Christmas Day, and everything goes like nutsy prices. But like then you're almost out of money. A lot of times you're just buying some gift cards that people gave you for Christmas. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I like the Black Friday, but it just makes more sense to do it before while you got some cash to spend, not the other way around. But yeah, we do Boxing. I don't think you guys do a Boxing Day in the States, right?
No, we do it with you.
Okay, there you go.
We're like, oh, it's Canadian Boxing Day, yay!
Gotcha. Yeah, but we have better sales usually on Boxing Day than we traditionally see on Black Friday, and it's reverse in the States. I've seen your Boxing Day sales on your flyers, and I was like, holy shit! Like those are great prices, and up here you're just like, you're still getting leech. You know what I mean? Like they just don't want to budge up here. It's just crazy. Every once in a while you get a scored decent deal, but most often it's like, like about 3 games. You probably saw them on my Twitter, about 3 like PlayStation games. They were like $10 each. So that was pretty cool. But they weren't expensive games to begin with. So, all right. But anyway, it is about Thanksgiving. So in terms of gaming, and I'd like to get from the chat as well, things in gaming that you are thankful for. Since we're on this topic, I think this will be a fun one. Is there anything that in gaming that you're thankful for? I mean, we know that some people are thankful for Microsoft for making the adaptive controller. Cerebral Paul in the chat, I don't know if he has one or not, but anyone who does may be able to attest to that. So what are you guys thankful for when it comes to gaming and the podcast community in general, I guess?
I guess I'll go first.
Go ahead, Drew.
I am thankful for in gaming, right? Mm-hmm. I am thankful for this community and being able to speak with everybody and be able to, be on these podcasts and Twitter and everything, just the overall community. So that way I can actually share my hobby other than my friends that I personally know that moved away and I barely have any contact with anymore. You know what I mean? We still talk, but I talk with you guys a lot more. So you guys have replaced those friends and the community is replaced everything, you know. So that's why
Point.
when I say community, you guys are my family.
Amen.
Hmm.
Well said. I love it. I love it. Dreadpool hit the nail on the head. Yeah, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Doggy Dog, he's thankful for the Gaming After Dark podcast. Well, we're thankful for you, Doggy Dog. We're thankful for every single one of you guys that comes out to support this podcast, because we all know anybody that does this stuff knows it takes a lot of effort. It's not as easy as it looks. And honestly, just the community, without you guys, you're what makes it successful. You know, we're thankful for each and every one of you guys. Forte, anything you want to say?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much exactly what Dreadful said. You know, for me, being a person that has just really started being a part of this community, like over the last couple of years, being accepted as much as I have been, I just love the fact that people like to embrace people that are like them. Like, that's the one thing that we all have in common, which is gaming. But on top of that, we're just all very fond of just the fact that we're just all good people. And it's not, you don't really have that type of response with even people that are like super close to you, that you live like 2 minutes away from in your own neighborhood and stuff. I feel like I have more of a connection with the people in this hobby, because we are like-minded individuals. The biggest thing for me is I really am just thankful for the fact that I was able to help so many people over the last 2 to 3 weeks find a way to secure a console, keeping people updated on what was going on when it came to that. You know, I feel like I still didn't achieve what I wanted to, because a lot of people still didn't get them, but there was so many people that would just reach out, DM, ask me questions. Hey, what's up with the trade-in? When can I do this? When can I do that? Sure. It was just very nice to see that, just the level of appreciation that people had. Like, I just got DM after DM, people just telling me, thank you, I got my system because of you, or thank you for letting me know I saved $200-$300 on my system and stuff. You know, stuff like that is what I'm super happy for. And I just want to see more and more people just enjoy the hobby that we do, because it's ultimately just comes down to, what do you enjoy? You enjoy Xbox, PlayStation, doesn't matter. I just want people to enjoy the hobby they enjoy. And I've really got a glimpse of that over the course of the last couple of months, that, hey, we're all the same. It just comes down to what you enjoy the most. And I'm happy for that.
Yeah, you must be happy for patient, understanding customers as well, because we know that these shortages are not the fault of the retailers. This is on their end, but a lot of people walk up to the door and they bitch at you guys, right? It's like, well, this is fucking ludicrous. You only got this many. I heard that when I was standing outside the Source a couple weeks ago for the Series X, and they're like, that's fucking crazy. Just 4 consoles is, bullshit. And I was like, well, it's not their fault, man. That's all they get secure,
Yep, that's all they gave us. So, and you know what? And the thing is, people were like, for the initial pre-orders, people were a little upset about that. But by the time that we got to the systems, I always told people, if you're honest and objective about the things that you talk to people about, they'll understand. And if you're completely honest with it, they'll understand even more. So I just told my people, it's like, yo, just tell people how it is. We can help them. We'll give them all the avenues to help them, but we can't promise anything. And people really, truly appreciated that. And plus, I bought people stuff that camped out, because I had 6 extra Xboxes on the day that it launched. The first 6 people in line, when I left the night before, I asked them all, I said, hey, what kind of, you want coffee or donuts? Because I truly felt happy to see people literally willing to camp outside the store to get something that they enjoyed. I was like, yo, cool. coffee or donuts. They said, oh, you ain't got to do that. I was like, yo, you're got to stand out here all freaking night to get something that a lot of people aren't willing to do. I can do the little thing I can do is bring you something to eat and drink in the morning. And I did, and I literally did that. And that made me feel happy, because people, you don't see stuff like that too often anymore.
No, well, you're one of the good guys, Forte. We need more you guys in that business, because God knows I could use them in my neck of the woods. Some of these guys that work in my EB games around here are not very considered. But let's catch up with the chat real quick, and we'll get out of the Titan. We won't be too much longer, guys. Emmanuel A1, what's happening? Welcome to the chat. Stick figure in the house tonight. What's going on? The wise old gamer once again dropping his super chat, and he's thankful for big sweatpants, vibrating controllers, and PlayStation making their default controller white. We can only imagine where he's taking that one. Oh, Lordy. Stick figure, I'm thankful for the female jogger. Just seen with no bra. Massel, I'm thankful for women in yoga pants. Yes, everybody has a thing to be thankful for. Titan, how about you, man? What are you thankful for when it comes down to gaming and this community, the whole 9 yards? So far, Dread and Forte have been spot on and definitely summed up some great points.
Yeah, absolutely right. I gotta reiterate, like everything Dreadpool said. He had some great points. Forte spoke on the camaraderie and such, and going above and beyond. His Call of Duty.
Mhm.
Going above and beyond for just to do something nice for those other people that that he just knows is a part of the community in one way or another. That's awesome. I wish more people were like that, like you said. But in addition to all those things, I'm thankful for my wife, kids, and the fact that we all play video games and support each other and the decisions we make and the things that we do. I love life. I love my wife, and I hope all of you have. I hope you all have the happiness that I have.
He needs a T-shirt with that on. I love life and I love my wife. Great stuff. Well, you know what they say? What's a happy wife is a happy life, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And for me, guys, I know while it's not Thanksgiving up here, we've already had our dues. I am thankful for having a wife, and I think a lot of us can probably sympathize. Now, some of you guys I know in the chat don't have girlfriends or wives, but for those of us who do have a significant other, girlfriend, wife, etc., if you're lucky enough to get a woman who plays games with you, even a bonus. Or if you can get one, at least marry one or date one who at least accepts your hobby, even if she doesn't like it or agree with it, but at least accepts it and lets you have that personal time. Thank them. Because honestly, my wife steps back from this, and she's always said, as long as I don't go out and basically blow all of our bill money on games, then we're okay. If it's my money and I buy something and we're not in the hole for it, then whatever. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. Watch me play games. She doesn't play games with me, but she doesn't mind the hobby. She knows it makes me happy, and she lets me do it. I am thankful for this gaming community. You guys are amazing. As Dread has pointed out, a lot of you guys have replaced friends that we used to hold near and dear. Like, you're almost more family to us now than some of us have family members. It's kind of weird because you've been in our life. You've been a big part of it for so long. I mean, there's guys in this chat like Stick Figure. We go back years now. You name it. Spider-Man. He's in the chat. It's been here for a long time. Spider-Man remembers watching me when I first met Spider-Man. He was actually watching the stream of me do Mass Effect and Andromeda, and he was laughing at how often I would swear at the damn symbol puzzles in that game. He knows I hate puzzles, but this is telling you how long you guys have been a part of my life, and we appreciate it. And there's a lot of new people here that I've seen week in and week out. So you guys are amazing. You make this worth doing. You make it worth firing up the computer. And I'm glad to know there's more people in this world than just me that feel this way about gaming, that are passionate about it. Because up until I came to podcasting, I just thought I was alone in the world. I was like, nobody likes games. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, all the friends I grew up, nobody liked gaming. Like, nobody really cared for gaming. Nobody took it serious like me. And you guys do. And that's what makes us gel. I love that shit, man. Years and beers, the Stick Figure. Indeed, brother. You are one of the good guys. I like it. But thankful for you guys. Thankful for gaming in general. I'm thankful for all the developers out there right now that keep plugging through this fucking shitty ass time to keep making our hobby and the games that we love. We don't give them enough credit. I can't even imagine how difficult it is right now for them with all of the rollbacks, and your team is separated and you're in the middle of shit. It can't be easy. Thanks to Xbox and PlayStation for even launching these fucking consoles. They didn't have to. Honestly, in some ways, I wish it didn't, but they're out in the wild now. There's a lot of different things that I'm thankful for health. If you guys are lucky enough to stay away from COVID, hopefully you guys have been lucky enough not to lose anybody due to COVID and stuff like that. Be thankful for that. Your health and happiness, and gaming makes us happy. So a lot of stuff to be thankful. You guys are amazing, and I'm thankful for my panel. Titan Drago, middle-aged game guy. When I lost Primally, when she stepped away, I was dreading where I was going to go with this particular program. But when Titan stepped up and stepped in, and Mag just joined it, we've got a trifecta of just amazing dudes, and we've had amazing guests, and they're fucking amazing. And you guys knocked it out of the park again tonight. And like I said, I'm always excited for Tuesday nights to come back and do this with all you guys. So thank you again. Draven Arrow, what's up, brother?
Amen, brother.
Amen. We'll be back again this week. And by the way, Titan will be bringing back the Next Generation segment in some form here soon. He's just tweaking things a bit. And I wanted to say, because Mag didn't get a chance, that Tony Baloney will be back again soon. He's cooking something fun up for you guys. We
Possibly next week, right?
Possibly next week. And it should be a lot of fun. So stay posted. Thanks for sharing this. Thanks for all the likes. Tell all your friends. Let's get these numbers up. Guys, want to see 100 up in here. I think we can do that. It's not asking for a miracle. So tell all your friends, your family, your grandmas, because I know Mag's grandma's tuned in a few times. And it's good stuff, guys. We appreciate all you guys. I'll stop blabbing. I'll let everybody get out of here. We'll start with Mr. Dreadpool, who thankfully came out to my rescue tonight. Dread, again, sorry that I got the communications wrong, but thank you for being here, brother. You're one of the good guys. Let everybody know where they can check out your content and all that good stuff, brother.
No problem. Anytime. I'm glad it still worked out for us. So Twitter, it's Dreadpool. The O's are actually zeros. YouTube gamertag, and yes, still Stadia. Dreadpool, all letters, all caps. Breaking Bread with Dread. You can find it on anchor.fm/Dreadpool. That's the podcast that I do where I interview personalities, where we sit down and eat and talk about gaming or whatever else that interests us. That's, hot topics or something. And then from there, from Anchor, you can go to any of the other podcasts that they have. They have 9 of them. You got Google, Spotify, Apple, Podcast, something. There's a whole bunch of them. So if you don't want to listen to it at Anchor, you can listen to it the other places. And then you got Gaming Beyond the Box Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., Breakfast with Boom Friday mornings at 10 a.m., except for tomorrow, because there is it's Black Friday, they moved it to tomorrow, and it'll be at 12 p.m. Okay, and then I'm on Four Guys with Quarters for Clown's interviews with the developers and whoever else that he lines up for the interviews. And then, as always, because these are the holidays, my DMs are always open. Anybody wants to vent, talk, whatever, DMs are open. Just hit me up. I may not know what to say, but at least I'll be there to listen.
Good stuff, guys. Make sure you follow Dread really quick before we get to Forte Silent. Wyver dropped $2. I don't know if I read this one up, but he dropped $2 in the super chat and said, "I'm thankful I made it to the bathroom in time." Well, that's good stuff, man. Yes, always indeed. Yes, it's always good to get to the bathroom before you have a terrible streak, if you know what I mean. All righty. Terrence Tate, what's going on? A little late, but glad you're here. I'm quiet sometimes, is in the chat. Yes, we didn't hear you sneak in. All right, good stuff. Forte, he is one of the busiest men in podcasting. I don't know where the man finds the time, but yes, he had his one tonight, and good he could at least jump in for last couple of topics. Forte, my brother, thanks for being here. I think it was your first appearance on Gaming After Dark. I've been dying to get you in here, so thanks for being here, and let people know where they can check out your awesome content.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate it, man. But yeah, I'll definitely be back here next week because I was talking to Slow-Mo about it today. I was like, man, I got to give him a full show. So I got to go back next week too. So I'll definitely be back here next week because it wasn't your fault. It was miscommunication on my end and Slow-Mo. But yeah, it's Gaming Forte everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation. Check out the content over there. Haven't really been putting up anything because, playing a bunch of games. But now that I have gotten through the Destiny grind, the beating the raid, I am back to making content starting tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about the Phil Spencer interview, talking about some other stuff that's going on in the industry. So check those videos out on my channel. DPS podcast was normally on a Thursday, but it was on Tuesday this week. So if you want to check that out, it's on my man Slow-Mo Backslap's channel this week. Next week, it will be on my channel at 12 on Thursday at 9 p.m. back at our regular scheduled time. And then you can also check us out on the Brat podcast every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. With E-Money, B-Jack, and Eric Jackson, the Slow-Mo Backslap. It's always a great time there. And then my man Max, he's always the same person no matter where he is. He's that person that yells a lot. And you can catch us over there on Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick. Always a great time on Monday nights over there. But the only thing I ask you guys to do is just pray for me, because Friday is going to probably be crazy. And I can imagine there's going to be a lot of upset people when they realize that we ain't got that many Xboxes and PlayStations to sell.
No doubt.
To everybody that's going to try to get their systems, and just be careful. If you're going out this Friday, please be careful. Cases are through the roof, and I don't want to see any of you guys having any issues with anything going forward, because it ain't the time for that. So just keep yourself safe and keep that in mind. But other than that, I will see you guys next week.
Preach. Good stuff, man. Thanks for your Forte. And last but not least, my incredible co-host, Mr. Titan Drago. Titan, so who gets your award for bringing the common back to sense tonight?
Yeah, find me at everything at Titan Drago. Everybody, it was a great show, and I love it week in and week out. I laugh my ass off, and if you do as well, tell a buddy, tell a friend, let them know about the show. And as far as people that are here, we all got to be like the wise old gamer. Because if you know which testicle you came from, well, then that's more skills than I got, let me tell you. So when you can add comedy gold like that to an Ask Arnie segment like the wise old gamer did, you're definitely my kind of gamer. And so let's be more wise, search for wisdom. And that's easily how we can easily bring the common back to sense.
Yes, the super chat earlier was awesome. He said he knew he came from the left testicle because he just ain't right.
What if his father only had a left testicle?
Oh,
and how would he know if it's left or right?
You could tell if it's a left or a right one.
I remember this one was on my, but wouldn't it go freestyle at that point?
Ooh, yeah, with just dangle in the middle, probably.
That's why they call you Mr. Cyclops, eh?
Right.
Good shit, guys. Good shit. All right. Any final words there, Titan? All good?
No, I'm all good, man.
All right, Princess Zelda, we'll send you a nut in the mail, dear. Mario's nuts. There you go. All right. There we go. Anyway, guys, you know where to find me. It's Noof Nukem, always in the gutter. Yes, indeed. We hope you enjoyed the show. We enjoy you guys. We're thankful for everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving this week. We'll see you all again next Tuesday. Follow these great chats in the chat. Don't forget about the Maggie. He had to jump out early because he's taking care of kids, but he will be back again. He didn't miss too much. He was here for most of it. So good stuff, guys. Great show. A lot of fun. Wise, man, you cracked this up tonight. The whole chat was absolutely dynamite. You guys kept it going. Our friggin' moderators don't even have to do anything in this one. It's hilarious. They just sit back and everybody keeps it cool. That's the way it should be, guys. It's all about gaming. We're just having fun, and you guys are awesome. But anyway, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you again next week.
Happy gaming, everyone.
Peace. Buck snacks.